the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301. I'll give you a 100% discount. 1. Please come in, gentlemen. Kiyoshishi politely pointed to an empty table in the hall for them. There are exactly 4 empty seats over there. Sit down and scan the code to order. Okay, thank you. After thanking him, Ziziu took the initiative to enter Wen Jiu restaurant and then walked to the position pointed by the other party and stood there. It was not until assistant Zhao came over with a tissue to wipe the chair that he slowly sat down. He first glanced around the environment of the hall and saw that it was spotless and even the floor was transparent. Only then did he open the light curtain panel with satisfaction and prepare to scan the code to order. I didn't expect that President Z knew about this kind of treasure shop. Jiang Wenlian really didn't expect the other party to come to such a place to eat. He thought that a young master from aristocratic family like Ziziu only liked to go to high-end restaurants. After he finished speaking, Ziziu only raised his eyelids slightly and didn't mean to chat with him. So he scanned the code and browsed the menu very well. He has been to the East Lake Scenic area several times, but he has never found a good restaurant in the commercial area. Moreover, he had been to most of the restaurants here, not to mention the fancy names of the dishes. The dishes served made him want to run away. The only restaurant that he thought was still edible was the Wang's restaurant on Commercial Street 2, but Ziziu chose a restaurant he had never been to before, so it seemed that he would not be able to eat a full meal today. Jiang Wenlian secretly sighed while browsing the menu. Sure enough, the names of the dishes on it were all unheard of. Although the customers in the store were all concentrating on eating, and there were all kinds of strange smells coming from it, as a businessman, he would naturally think about other aspects. For example, did this restaurant pay people to come here to create the illusion of high popularity, or did it use some kind of flavor enhancer to add fragrance to the food? But the more Jiang Wenlian thought about it, the hungrier he felt. The waves of fragrance kept coming at him, making him drool more. To be on the safe side, he only ordered a beef and egg fried rice. Mr. Z, you said earlier that you like this kind of home-style restaurant. There is a Wang's restaurant here that tastes very good. Jiang Wenlian smiled and expressed his thoughts. After all, he was very hungry at the moment, but the names of the dishes such as hot and sour noodles and fish-flavored pork shreds seemed unreliable to him. However, Ziziu just raised his chin and put on a cold and arrogant attitude. If Mr. Jiang doesn't want to eat here, you can just leave. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard a familiar voice. Sir, you ordered hot and sour noodles. What the hell are you doing here? Ziqingyu had a polite smile on her face, but the moment she saw her brother, the smile disappeared. He immediately put on the bad face he usually had when facing strangers and asked with disgust in his eyes, I'm asking you a question. What are you doing here? Being treated like this, Ziziu not only did not show dissatisfaction, but instead looked at the person in front of him with interest and then joked, at home, I usually ask you to get me a bottle of drink, but you are very diligent here. Seeing this, Jiang Wenlian immediately understood. It seems that this little waiter with a bad attitude is the young master of the Z family, but why would the young master be a waiter in such a place? Could it be that he had a conflict with his family? Thinking of this, Jiang Wenlian suddenly felt that he was so smart, and he finally knew why Ziziu came here to eat. If he guessed correctly, it should be that the young master ran away here in anger, so the Z family sent Ziziu to find the young master and take him back. He said why the other party would condescend to come to the field inspection. So Jiang Wenlian quickly said, young Master Z, your brother has spent a lot of effort to find you. Hearing this, Ziqingyu only sneered. Really? I think he has spent a lot of effort just to have a meal. Jiang Wenlian was confused. What does it mean to have a meal? TSK, I come to eat, and it doesn't bother you, right? And it doesn't make sense for a restaurant to not let customers patronize? Ziziu gently shook the sour plum soup in the paper cup. His nonchalant posture seemed to be shaking expensive red wine, and Zikingai couldn't help but retort, "How come it doesn't bother me? I get annoyed when I see you and don't want to work." As soon as the voice fell, Zizio chuckled and whispered, "Aren't you afraid that Wen Jiu will hear this? If she fires you, don't blame me for complaining." When it comes to retorting, he is still one step ahead. After all, Zikingai is still young. "Okay, then please enjoy your meal." Zikingai quickly placed the food on the tray on the table. "I'll tell my parents you bullied me when I get home." Jiang Wenlian was even more confused after hearing this conversation. Was he imagining too much? But why was the young master of the Z family working as a waiter here? Before he could continue to imagine the hidden story, he was hit by the aroma of rice. The fried rice, which emitted a faint golden light, was piled up like a small mountain. If you get closer, you can see the oil on the crystal clear and plump rice grains. It was the first time he saw such beautiful fried rice, and it was difficult for him to look away for a while. Fortunately, Zizio didn't care about his loss of composure, and he just picked up the chopsticks and started eating. Seeing this, Jiang Wenlian quickly picked up the spoon and scooped a full spoonful of fried rice into his mouth. The rice grains were clearly wrapped in a faint oil fragrance, the eggs were fresh and the beef was tender, and even the carrots mixed in were particularly delicious. This made him really unable to help but eat spoonful after spoonful. He felt that he had just thought too much. How could the food at Wang's hotel compare to this bowl of fried rice? To put it more broadly, all the food he had eaten over the years was not as delicious as this bowl of fried rice. He used to think that he only wanted to work hard for his career and was not a person who valued the desire for food. But today he found out that he was wrong. It was not that he did not pay attention to the desire for food, but that he had not encountered food that made him want to eat again and again. When he was eating happily, he saw his assistant come over and whispered, "Boss, try this side dish. It is more delicious than eating fried rice alone." After all, Jiang Wenlian was a self-made man, so he had to have a closer relationship with his employees. After hearing what his assistant said, he quickly picked up a chopstick of side dish and ate it with fried rice. The sour and delicious soaked cowpeas can burst into salty and fragrant juice in the mouth with just a light bite. This taste made his appetite more vigorous, and even the speed of shaving rice became much faster. After a full bowl of beef fried rice, Jiang Wenlian felt that he was not full, so he quickly opened the menu and wanted to order another serving of beef fried rice. But he saw Zizio slurping noodles, and the hot and sour noodles seemed to smell more fragrant than the fried rice, and there was a strong spicy smell wafting slowly. This made him order a bowl of hot and sour noodles to try how it tasted. Today's first update has been delivered, please check it out. Lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 302. I'll give you a 100% discount too. When the red and shiny hot and sour noodles were served to Jiang Wenlian, he felt that his soul was taken away again. The light brown minced meat was spread on the top, and there were many golden and crispy peas and peanuts around it. The tender green chopped green onions were randomly sprinkled on the soup, creating a beautiful and tempting picture. Jiang Wenlian first mixed the hot and sour noodles in the bowl and then began to taste it. Because he ate too quickly and didn't blow it to cool, the hot and sour noodles in his mouth were relatively hot, which made him frown and hiss. But he couldn't bear to spit out the soft and smooth hot and sour noodles in his mouth, so he could only hold it in his mouth and chew it gently when it was slightly cool. The spicy aroma rushed straight to his head, and coupled with the rich and fragrant minced meat sauce and the already chewy hot and sour noodles, all kinds of flavors made him unable to extricate himself. "Why do you pack up after eating?" Zikingai put the packing bag on the table with a dissatisfied tone. He was speechless when he saw his brother eating so well. "Do you think I'm the same as you? I eat delicious food outside every day, but I don't know to pack up for my parents to taste." Zizio very elegantly picked up a tissue and wiped the corner of his mouth. Zikingai, who was scolded again, felt speechless. Why is his brother so annoying? Seeing his depressed face, Zizio added another knife slowly. "You only know how to run outside every day. It's really a waste of time." I have to sigh for old Z. However, Zikingai rarely fought back. He just groaned and went to do his own work. This was a bit beyond his expectation. Could it be that his younger brother really changed his personality under Wen Jiu's training? But he was soon slapped in the face by the facts. Ziqingyu walked back with a smile not long after. He said in a cheerful tone, "My sister Jiu said that you can get a 100% discount for your meal. After deducting the 1,100 star coins you have paid for ordering on your own, you need to pay another 9,900 star coins. Just transfer it directly to my sister Jiu's account," he said with a more cheerful tone, "and this discount is exclusive for you, so the 3 gentlemen at your table just need to pay the original price." After hearing this, even Ziyu, who has always been good at facial expression management, couldn't bear it. He asked directly, "I'm your biological brother, can't she be sincere and give me a discount? And I also gave you a membership card to purchase goods." But Ziqingyu just shrugged and spread his hands pretending to be innocent and replied, "She said that she would give you this exclusive discount because you are my biological brother. Oh, brother, you are almost there. I know you can afford this little star coin." After that, he made a gesture of goodbye and then continued to entertain other guests. Only Ziyu with a gloomy face and the other 3 who dared not say a word were left. Mr. Z. Jiang Wenlian finally broke the deadlock. He said that there were still many customers waiting outside, so why not go to another place to continue the discussion? Ziyu nodded indifferently, asked assistant Zhao to help him pick up the takeout bag, and then strode away from the Wen Jiu restaurant. That made him sad. He would definitely come again, but he would definitely not feel comfortable until Wen Jiu gave him a real discount. However, before he took a few steps, he saw his wisdom ring flashing. He thought it was work matters that needed to be dealt with, so he clicked on the light screen panel, and what he saw was a message from Wen Jiu asking for debts. 10,000 wealths 9,009. Hurry up and don't default on the debt. This made Ziyu even more upset. Why would the other party help his annoying brother? Somehow, the 2 brothers had a strange tacit understanding, because they both thought that the other party was annoying and hateful. Is there any tea house or something like that in the East Lake Scenic area? After transferring the money, Ziyu closed the light curtain panel, then he took a deep breath, and he must find a way to get the place back. Jiang Wenliang, who thought he was going to discuss the contract with his assistant, widened his eyes, and he quickly said, yes, please come this way, Mr. Z. At this time, on the other side, Ziqingyu was receiving guests happily, and the speed of serving dishes was much faster than usual. Because he was so happy, this was the first time he saw his brother being humiliated. "Here are your 2 servings of fish flavored pork shreds. I wish you a happy meal." He worked in an excited mood, and even the physical and mental fatigue was reduced a lot, and he didn't feel very tired until he closed the store. "Sister Jiu, I'll go clean up the dishes. Kaioshishi, if you're tired, go and have a rest. I'll come over to clean the hall later." Ziqingyu's high-pitched voice kept ringing in Wen's restaurant, prompting Kaioshishi to approach Wen Jiu with curiosity and ask, "What's wrong with him? Did he eat something wrong?" "He's gloating." Wen Jiu shook his head helplessly. His brother came to the restaurant to eat just now, and then, before she finished her words, she heard Kaioshishi raise her voice and say, "Huh? Why didn't I see him?" So Wen Jiu recalled Ziyu's appearance and gestured a few times. It's just a grown-up version of Ziqingyu in a suit, tall and thin, wearing gold-rimmed glasses to pretend to be a gentleman, and he's even more arrogant than Ziqingyu. After her vivid description, Kaioshishi immediately remembered the 4 customers who entered the store together, and one of them fit the other's description. "Oh, I remember now. I thought that gentleman looked familiar, but I was busy with work, so I didn't think much about it." The 2 were talking in the hall when they saw Ziqingyu walking over with cleaning tools in her hand, shaking her head. "Why don't you go upstairs and rest first? I feel full of energy now." Hearing what he said, Wen Jiu decisively pulled Kaioshishi to the 2nd floor. If it were in the past, Kaioshishi would have left the work without saying a word, but she was a little hesitant today. In fact, she heard what Ziqingyu said last night, and she didn't expect that the other party would notice her emotions. If she went to rest and threw away the work now, she would feel too sorry for Ziqingyu, her good friend. Jiu, you go upstairs first. I'll go wipe the oil stains on the table. After that, she ran to the bathroom to find towels and detergent. When Jiu reminded them, there is iced sour plum soup in the kitchen. Have a sip to relieve fatigue and refresh your mind. After she finished speaking, she walked up the stairs to the second floor. It was not that she wanted to be lazy or anything, but mainly because she found herself becoming more easily tired after fighting with Zhao and raising her ability level. For example, she only needed 6 or 7 hours of sleep in the past, but she still felt sleepy after sleeping for 10 hours in the first few days of the holiday. It has been much better in the past few days, and 7 or 8 hours of sleep is enough, but this symptom of easy fatigue still exists. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you to every little angel for your support and love. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 303. I'll give you a 100% discount. 3. When Jiu and Zhu Wangming discussed the situation he had discovered, but Zhu Wangming guessed that it was because of her promotion and later sent her a lot of readjusted nutrient solution. But she still had doubts about this symptom, or in fact, she now had a certain degree of suspicion about Zhu Wangming. It was not a malicious suspicion, because she knew that Yu Rumen was really good to her, so Zhu Wangming would at least not do anything to hurt her for Yu Rumen's sake. But she did not doubt Zhu Wangming for no reason, mainly because the things he told her made her have a lot of doubts in her heart. First of all, about the so-called experimental project. She did not find similar memories of the original owner, but it is not ruled out that the original owner's memory was erased, or because she was too young to remember it at the time, or it may be too painful to protect herself. In short, there are many possibilities, but judging from her current physical changes, it can be basically confirmed that the original owner was an experimental product. But there are too many doubts about this matter. For example, this kind of project using living people for experiments will definitely be taken very seriously, and those people will definitely try their best to cover up the existence of this experimental project. After all, it is difficult for normal people to accept the idea of integrating the genes of wild animals into living people for experiments, so this kind of experimental project must be carried out in secret. Moreover, Zhu Wangming mentioned that he had signed a confidentiality agreement, which means that he is now on this remote planet that no one cares about. In addition, she is involved with Yu Rumen, so the other party will reveal part of the matter. However, when Jiu can see his real purpose, which is nothing more than that he thinks that she will trust them more after telling her. More importantly, Zhu Wangming is the only one who can answer this question for her, so this is also an important bargaining chip for them to win her over. However, the biggest doubt lies with Zhu Wangming. This kind of inhumane project must be kept very confidential. In addition, the research institute is located on the headquarters planet of the 3rd military region, which is a place with strict security and tight protection. So how did Zhu Wangming, a researcher who had signed the agreement, escape safely? And how did the original owner, who was the experimental subject, come to planet 3047? When Jiu thought about these questions while walking towards the 2nd floor, as soon as she entered the door, she saw Zhao Hei lying on his back on the floor playing with his tail. Well, let me see. She held Zhao Hei in her arms and checked his right forelimb. Because Zhao Hei had been resting well in the past 2 days, his right forelimb had fully recovered. Next, he didn't need to apply ointment and just continued to eat the prescription food according to the dosage. When Jiu wanted to put Zhao Hei back on the sofa, but found that there were more red hairs on his forehead. There were only a few tufts of red hair before, but now there were so many red hairs that it looked like a fringe. So she curiously turned Zhao Hei over and let him lie on his back on her legs. Meow meow meow. Meow meow meow. Zhao Hei twisted his body in dissatisfaction, kept making meowing sounds in resistance, and blocked the key parts with his tail. This made Wen Jiu feel a little funny. She just saw him lying on the floor playing with his tail, but now he looked so dissatisfied. I just want to see if there are any red hairs on your body, she explained when she saw that Zhao Hei was not happy. I will give you dried fish after I check. However, Zhao Hei still looked reluctant. He turned over and jumped down then quickly jumped to the windowsill and meowed angrily at Wen Jiu. Meow. Meow meow meow. So when Zeke and Gayu and Kaioshishi came up to the second floor, they saw a scene of man and a cat confronting each other. Come down quickly. Otherwise, when I catch you, you will have to go to the pet box again. Meow meow meow. Meow 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 meow. Ziohei stood on the windowsill with his teeth bared and made threatening growls from time to time. Seeing that it was still unwilling to come down, Wen Jiu summoned the vines and tied it down and sent it to the sofa. Stay still. If you run around again, I'll put you back in the pet box. Then she turned her head and looked at the door. Are you going to take a nap standing there? Have you cleaned up downstairs? Hearing this, Zeke and Gayu said, we are not afraid of you making trouble. Shishi and I have cleaned up downstairs very well. Don't worry, Gioji. Because when Jiu helped him move back from Ziziu's place, he now only regards him as a benefactor. After all, there are too few people who can make his brother lose face, and he has been scolded countless times by Ziziu. He is so happy to see him lose face. Did Ziohei do something bad again? Kaioshishi sat on the sofa and looked at Ziohei. Hey, are there more red hairs on his forehead? Ziohei seemed to understand what she said and curled up into a ball and buried his head deeply, as if he didn't want them to observe him. Has it become more? Zeke and Gayu hadn't seen Ziohei's appearance for many times, so naturally he couldn't find any subtle changes in him. It has become a little more. When Jiu took out a few dried fish, could it be the kind of cat that can fade or change color? After all, species in the interstellar era are more diverse, and she can't say for sure whether Ziohei is an ordinary cat or a mutant cat. However, when she took Ziohei to the Shanghai certificate and for a physical examination, she didn't find anything wrong, and the species registered on the certificate was a rural black cat. By the way, Sister Jiu, has your wood type ability level broken through to level 2? Zeke and Gayu scratched his head and thought. Seeing that when Jiu could skillfully control the vines, and the wood type energy was even stronger, he guessed that the other party had broken through to level 2. Yes, it has reached level 2. When Jiu nodded and admitted this fact, and at the same time, told them that his fire type ability had also broken through, Zeke and Gayu and Kaioshishi were both stunned when they heard this. They thought that when Jiu would break through to level 2 first, but they didn't expect that the other party's dual type abilities had successfully broken through. Zeke and Gayu sighed before speaking. Sister Jiu, why don't I give you my Star Network nickname? I think you are quite suitable to be the number one in the interstellar world, but I'm not worthy. Don't say that. I still support you to be the number one in the interstellar world. When Jiu comforted him a few words, because my goal is to become the richest man in the Federation, and I really have no interest in your goal. But these words did not comfort Zeke and Gayu, but made him more autistic. Not only is he not as talented as Wen Jiu, but even his goal is not worthy of others. So Zeke and Gayu sat on the sofa and curled up, with the word autism written all over his face. This is the third update today. Thank you again for the support of every little angel. Give everyone a heart 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 The Macho Man's Girlish Heart 1. Kaioshishi's reaction was not as strong as Zeke and Gayu's, because although she regarded Wen Jiu as her goal, it was not the kind of goal that she had to surpass. After all, the difference in talent was there, and she just wanted to have a goal to motivate herself to move forward, and told herself all the time that she had to work harder if she didn't have extremely high talent. Therefore, Kaioshishi felt that she was motivated again, so she took the initiative to ask, Jiu, how did you break through? I actually feel that I have touched the edge of the second level of the fire system, but I have never been able to successfully break through. How come you have also touched the edge? Zeke and Gayu suddenly raised his voice and asked a question. He was originally thinking about whether to ask Wen Jiu to learn from his experience, but Kaioshishi asked it first. And the most important thing is that he thought he would break through before Kaioshishi, but he didn't expect that the other party was also on the verge of a breakthrough. What do you mean? I can't touch the edge, right? Kaioshishi turned her head and glared at him, looking very unhappy. That's not what I meant, Zikingai retorted with a gloomy face. Why don't you surprise me? I call it astonishment, understand? Seeing that the daily bickering was about to start again, Wen Jiu quietly got up and walked towards the master bedroom. Even Ziohei quietly moved away from them. I will definitely break through earlier than you. I'll let Jiu teach you now. Hey, where's Jiu? Halfway through the bickering, Kaioshishi and Zikingai realized that Wen Jiu was no longer in the living room. So the two glared at each other, and then Kaioshishi went to the master bedroom to prepare for a nap, leaving Zikingai sitting alone on the sofa. But he was not lonely. After all, he had Ziohei to accompany him. Well, you are still the best. Zikingai walked over to Ziohei and sat down. He was about to touch Ziohei's head when he saw the other party showing a ferocious look and stretched out his sharp claws to scare him. He was so scared that he quickly withdrew his hand and sat back silently. It was okay for the two people in the bedroom to bully him, but why did even the kitten bully him? As Zikingai was thinking, he fell into autism again. He looked for a thin blanket and covered himself with it, and then he lay on the sofa and thought about life. About his life of being despised by everyone and cats. Until when Jiu woke up and walked out of the room, he still maintained an expression of both aggrieved and depressed. Seeing this scene, Wen Jiu couldn't help asking, "What's wrong with you? I feel like I'm despised by you." Zikingai's expression became even sadder. "I'm handsome, cute and so smart. Why are you? He was halfway through his words when Wen Jiu stuffed something in his mouth. You're too much." The rich aroma of burnt fish accompanied by a faint freshness emanated from his mouth. The tender and soft fish meat was sandwiched with crispy skin, which made him give up his doubts and start chewing seriously. "Is this grilled fish? It's quite delicious, but why do I feel that it's getting colder and colder as I eat it?" Zikingai didn't forget to wipe his mouth with the tissue after eating. Just as he stood up, a black shadow suddenly pounced on him. He was so scared that he dodged and fell back on the sofa. "What is Ziohei doing? Sister Jiu, please take care of it." When Ziohei saw that his attack was unsuccessful, his golden eyes were full of coldness, which made Zikingai feel even colder. "I can't do anything about it. Who told you to eat its dried fish?" Although when Jiu said this, her hands behind her back were emitting a faint green light. If Zikingai couldn't control Ziohei, she would help solve the problem. The other party flexibly dodged the attacks again and again, until Kaioshishi was awakened and walked out of the bedroom. "Why are you arguing? Why would Ziohei attack you? You must have done something to anger it. It goes without saying who has the lowest status in Wen's restaurant. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it." Seeing that Kaioshishi had woken up, Wen Jiu turned and walked towards the door. She was going to the backyard to see how the sweet potato starch she had dried was doing. There is a difference between handmade sweet potato starch and machine-made ones, and the sweet potato starch made from the former is more fragrant and tougher. Otherwise she would not have spent so much effort to make handmade sweet potato starch. When Jiu walked all the way to the backyard and went to the kitchen, after confirming the drying of the sweet potato starch. Ziohei is really fierce, and Jiu doesn't care about it. "It's all your fault that you want to eat dried fish. Thanks to me for feeding Ziohei with dried fish to calm him down. Don't try to steal his snacks again in the future." Just as she was fishing for kimchi in the kitchen, she heard the voices of Zikingai and Kaioshishi. It was obvious that they had found the secret to calm Ziohei. She didn't mean to bully Zikingai. After all, Ziohei would often stay in the store later. If they couldn't get along well with Ziohei, she would have to leave Ziohei at home. But Ziohei is used to freedom, and she promised the other party that after the injury healed, she would let him move freely around Wen Jiu restaurant. So Zikingai and Kaioshishi had to get along well with him. Besides, Ziohei is easy to coax, and she can easily coax him with her secret dried fish. "Since you are here, help me keep an eye on the heat, and then process the vegetables over there." Wen Jiu took off his apron after giving the task, which made Kyoshi ask in confusion, "Where are you going, Jiu? "I'm going to the commercial district to stroll around and observe." She put on her apron and then walked out. She and Yuruman had not visited this place properly before and only took a rough look at the general situation. Wen Jiu restaurant will be officially open tomorrow, so she plans to stroll around the commercial district. On the one hand, she can take a detailed look at what the shops here sell, and on the other hand, she can understand the needs of customers. The 4 dishes for the official opening seem a bit simple, and she thought about adding 2 more to the menu. So Wen Jiu went to Sister Chen's store to thank her, and then asked for some information before going to the commercial district to stroll around. Most of the shops in the commercial district still sell souvenirs, such as small metal animal statues, badges, postcards and the like. Some small restaurants are still open, but perhaps because it is past mealtime, not many tourists go in to eat. Wen Jiu originally wanted to go to Liu Sanji's jewelry store. It was Sister Chen who told her about Liu Sanji's jewelry store, saying that the gem bracelets in the store are finely crafted and beautiful. If she needs to give it to someone, she can go to Liu Sanji to take a look. She originally planned to buy a bracelet for Yuruman. After all, she had not returned the silver earrings she received before. But Liu Sanji's jewelry store was closed at this time and a sign was hung saying it was temporarily closed, so she had to give up and go to other shops. While walking around, a doll shop caught Wen Jiu's attention. The dolls in the window were cute and vivid, and she would feel moved even if she saw them. So she walked towards the door of the store, and the crisp sound of wind chimes rang out the moment she pushed the door, and at the same time, a light mechanical sound came over. "Welcome to the Fantasy World doll shop. All the dolls displayed outside are for sale. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Some small instructions. 1. During the Chinese New Year, there will be activities in the book friend circle and book friend group. Readers who want to participate, remember to join group 810,926,207. It doesn't matter if you don't join the group. The book friend circle will also hold activities too. There will be an explosion of 30,000 words on February 6th. Little angels, remember to follow the update. Let you all enjoy it all at once. 030! Chapter 305 The Macho Man's Girlish Heart 2. When Jiu first scanned the environment of the store, she felt like she had strayed into a magical world. A layer of pink veil with lace trims covered the white wooden cabinets, and the dolls on display were all wearing various princess dresses. The light-colored floor was covered with thick and soft pink plush carpets, and the shining crystal lamps on the ceiling quietly emitted dazzling light. Hiss. This was the first time she had seen such a girly place, and she had begun to imagine what kind of beautiful lady the owner would be. And she thought Kyoshi would like to come here, because she remembered that her Star Network image was a cute Lolita wearing a princess dress. When Jiu curiously browsed around, the princess dresses on these dolls were made quite finely, and it could be seen that the fabrics used were also very good. This one is quite cute. She saw a very unique doll on another wooden cabinet. The other dolls all had cute faces like cartoons, and they also had pigtails, lace headbands, and beautiful princess dresses, and some light blush on their faces. But the eyes of this doll are like a greater than and less than sign next to each other, and its mouth is slightly raised, as if it is smiling. It is neither wearing a beautiful princess dress nor a lace headband, and it does not even have a braid behind its head. I don't know if it is, because the owner has not finished making it yet, so it looks different from those dolls. If you like it, you can pick it up and take a closer look. The owner is still resting on the second floor. Now you can only shop by yourself. When Jiu just squatted in front of the wooden cabinet and saw a robot that looks similar to Dabe sliding out. Hearing this, she carefully picked up the doll and looked at it carefully. The hair color of this doll is light yellow, and it is as dazzling as the sun when it is illuminated by the light. Although it is not wearing a princess dress, the light purple floral dress it is wearing is also very beautiful. Ahem. Diu is still a semi-finished product. A big bearded rough man appeared out of nowhere. The other party was sturdy and dark-skinned, which made Wen Jiu feel like he saw the real version of Sun Batao. She quickly stood up and greeted the other party. "Hello, Clark. Is Diu the name of this doll?" "Yes, the dolls here all have their own names." Zhang Zuangshi scratched his head. He was used to being mistaken for a Clark. "The one in your hand is a cotton doll, but it has not been completed yet." When Jiu looked at Diu in his hand again, "No wonder I saw it has no braids and blush. Hahaha, it's a new model, I'm still trying." Zhang Zuangshi talked more when he talked about making dolls. "I plan to make the braids that can be replaced directly. Because many customers who have bought cotton dolls have said that they messed up their hair after buying it and didn't know how to take care of it. It feels a bit troublesome to come to me to comb their hair again every time. So I thought about making a braid that can be directly replaced, but I'm still trying it." Zhang Zuangshi said, and went to the cabinet on the other side to look for it. Seeing this, Wen Jiu was shocked and embarrassed and stood there at a loss. At first, she was still imagining what kind of cute lady the owner of such a jewelry store would be, but she didn't expect that the owner was actually a real-life version of Sun Batao. Moreover, she mistook him for a Clark. She was really too busy recently, and her brain was not working well enough. She didn't think carefully that there were robots helping to run the store, so why did she need to recruit more Clarks? She really didn't expect such a rough man to be so girly, but no one stipulated that men couldn't like pink and dolls. "Found it, come and show it to you." Zhang Zuangshi came over with a small plastic bag and motioned Wen Jiu to hand Diu to him. "I put some metal particles in Diu's head. When I want to change the braid style, I will stick the braid with magnets on it." As he spoke, he picked up a ponytail and put it behind Diu's head. The root of the ponytail was directly sucked up, and then he picked up Diu and shook it left and right. When Jiu observed his actions carefully, she saw that Diu's ponytail moved a little when the other party was shaking, so she asked, "This is quite convenient, but the position of the metal particles seems to be unable to be fixed." "Yes, if you put the metal block directly inside the doll, it will make the doll's head too hard." Zhang Zuangshi sighed and continued, "So I thought about implanting metal particles inside, but the position of the metal particles is difficult to fix, so I still haven't figured out how to solve it." After listening to his words, Wen Jiu pondered for a moment before speaking. "Why don't you try to stick the braid to the hair tie and then put it directly on your head, or make a pullover wig?" Pullover wigs are not easy to take care of. After all, customers demand more convenience. Zhang Zuangshi paused here, "But you can try sticking it on the hair tie as you said." As he said that, he went to the counter to look for tools, and then quickly stuck the braid to the hair tie, and then put the hair tie on Diu's head like a headband. This can firmly fix the position of the braid, and will not affect the softness of the doll's head. The only problem is that there will be a section of the hairband exposed on the top of the head, which looks a bit abrupt. Anyway, your doll can wear lace headbands and various small hats, and you can't see the hairband on it if you block it. When Jiu seemed to see Zhang Zuangshi's troubles. Hearing this, Zhang Zuangshi found a headband that matched Diu's clothes, and after wearing it, it perfectly covered the hairband exposed on the top of the head. Although it has not reached the level of perfection he pursues, he is very happy to be able to try in a different way. "Thank you so much, it has given me a new direction to try." Zhang Zuangshi looked at Wen Jiu with gratitude. "Do you have any dolls you like? I can give them to you directly. And I can also give you a few sets of doll clothes. These clothes and dolls are all made by me. If nothing else, at least the quality will definitely not be a problem." It just so happened that when Jiu had the idea of buying a doll back, but she had given up the idea when she saw the price tags of those dolls before. Now that the other party offered to give it away for free, there was absolutely no reason for her to refuse. So she said, "I think Diu is very cute, but didn't you say that Diu is not ready yet? I'm really not ready yet, and Diu is an experiment and not suitable for sale." Zhang Zuangshi scratched his head a little embarrassedly. "How about this? I will make you a new doll similar to Diu, and you can come to me directly in a few days to get it." Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Please check it out, little angels. 030. Chapter 306 Procambarus clarkii 1. Hearing Zhang Zuongshi's proposal, Wen Jiu nodded in agreement. She walked around the store before leaving. She had almost finished a stroll in the commercial area, so she thought about going back to Wen's restaurant to pay back the debt for the snowflake crisps. But as soon as she walked out of Commercial Street 3, she saw a lot of people gathered around the small white house, and she didn't know what they were watching. Wen Jiu remembered that the small white house was the management department of the East Lake Scenic Area, so she curiously went over to find out. Most of the people gathered in front of the small white house were shop owners who were at leisure, and they kept talking about the fishing activity of the Procambarus clarkii. Are we going to East Lake to catch Procambarus clarkii again? Yes, we have to do this fishing activity for a period of time every year. I don't know where so many Procambarus clarkii come from. This thing is not only not delicious, but also reproduces quickly. If we don't catch and clean it up in time, it will only destroy the ecological environment of our East Lake. After hearing their discussions, Wen Jiu always felt that the name of Procambarus clarkii was very familiar, but she couldn't remember what kind of creature it was for a moment. Just as she was thinking hard, she was suddenly patted on the back. Hey, isn't this Zio Wen? Sister Chen greeted her cheerfully. You are here to watch the fishing activity too? I tell you that there is nothing to see. It's just that the staff are using machines to catch shrimps by the East Lake. Every year, this happens. Procambarus clarkii is really annoying. This fishing activity will last at least 8 or 9 days, and there are many people watching in the first 2 days. Sister Chen enthusiastically introduced the situation to Wen Jiu and took her to follow the crowd to the East Lake. Many staff members wearing protective clothing and carrying tools walked along the path to the East Lake. They first drove the small animals basking in the sun to the distant woods, and then set up the fishing machine in the open space. There is a flat bag behind the big machine, and the crayfish that will be caught later will be put into it. We can catch several bags every time. It feels like there is no end to the crayfish in this lake. Wen Jiu was pulled by Sister Chen to the front of the crowd. Everyone stood on the promenade to watch, and no one would run to the East Lake to disturb the staff. She thought there was nothing to see, and wanted to go back to Wen's restaurant, but she suddenly caught a glimpse of the grey-red crayfish that the staff had just caught with a net. Look, that's the Procambarus clarkii. I don't know how it appeared. It reproduces very quickly and affects the ecological environment of East Lake. The staff is testing it with a small net. They catch a bucket at a time. It seems that it will take 10 days to clean it up this year. Sister Chen's muttering sounded in her ears, which reminded her that crayfish is also called Procambarus clarkii. So Wen Jiu thought for a moment and asked, Sister Chen, will this Procambarus clarkii be sold as food after it is cleaned up? Oh, who would buy this thing? Sister Chen looked at her in surprise. Procambarus clarkii is not delicious, and it will pinch people, so it is directly sent to the garbage dump after it is fished out. Wen Jiu felt like she was scolded when she heard this. She was the one who wanted to buy it, and how could crayfish not taste good? Whether it is spicy, garlic or steamed, it is first rate and delicious. Sister Chen, to be honest, I have a friend who likes this. Wen Jiu decisively brought out his omnipotent friend as an excuse. If he wants to buy Procambarus clarkii, can he just contact the management department? Hearing this, Sister Chen showed an incredible expression. Your friend's taste is quite strange. Although Procambarus clarkii is not poisonous and can be eaten, it is really unpalatable and there is nothing to eat. My friend likes to eat this unpalatable food. Wen Jiu said seriously, as if she really had a friend who loved to eat unpalatable ingredients. Sister Chen saw that she couldn't persuade him, no matter how hard she tried, so she said, if your friend wants to buy it, you can go to the management department to ask. They seem to sell some Procambarus clarkii at super low prices to those who live in slums and can't afford better ingredients. After getting the information he wanted, Wen Jiu watched for a while before finding a reason to say goodbye to Sister Chen. She went straight to the small white room to inquire about the selling price of the crayfish, and she didn't know how low this super low price was. Little friend, are you sure you want to buy it? This is not a joke. The staff looked at Wen Jiu in surprise. Just now, after the other party learned that 1 kilogram of crayfish only cost 20 star coins, he opened his mouth and asked to order 100 kilograms first. "I'm sure I want to buy it," Wen Jiu replied calmly, "and I will first order 100 kilograms. If the crayfish you provide can meet my requirements, I will order more." After hearing her words, the staff could only take her upstairs to find the administrator in charge of this matter to discuss in detail. "Brother Deng, there is a little girl here who wants to buy crayfish from you." Deng Ning, who was planning how to distribute the crayfish this time, looked at the door and saw that the staff downstairs brought a short-haired little girl. The other party looked quite pretty and was smiling with curved eyebrows, looking very easy to get along with. In fact, after Wen Jiu drank the nutrient solution for a period of time, her height was already catching up with her peers, but her previous nutritional deficiency was a bit serious, so her growth rate was still slower than others. "Little girl, do you want to buy a pound of shrimp to take back to play?" Deng Ning walked to the staff with some doubts. He thought that if you only want to buy 1 or 2 pounds, you can just register downstairs, and there is no need to bring it to him. Ahem, they said they want to buy 100 pounds. "Brother Deng, you can handle it. I'll go down first." The staff left the office after saying that, leaving Deng Ning standing at the door with a puzzled expression. "Hello, Brother Deng, the sister just asked me to talk to you in detail." Seeing that Deng Ning was standing stupidly at the door without saying anything, Wen Jiu spoke first to state her purpose. "I want to order 100 pounds of Procambarus clarkii. If the quality you provide is up to standard, I will order more later." She spoke clearly, which made Deng Ning realize that she was really taking this matter seriously. So Deng Ning returned to his desk and asked Wen Jiu to take a seat and then discussed the details with her. "Our crayfish are sold at 20 star coins per pound. If you want to buy in bulk, you can pay 15 star coins per pound. We also provide free packaging and shipping." Wen Jiu couldn't help but smile when he heard that there was a discount in free packaging and shipping. "Excuse me, where is your delivery address? It may be difficult to deliver to areas too far away." This made Wen Jiu smile even more. "It's at Wen's restaurant on Commercial Street 1. The third update of the day was also delivered perfectly. Which little angel ordered the crayfish Hehi 030. Chapter 307 Procambarus clarkii 2. Deng Ning didn't expect that the other party was actually from the commercial district. He thought it was an outsider who was introduced by someone. After all, the shops in the commercial district have no intention of buying crayfish now. In the early years, Wang's hotel tried to cook with crayfish, but unfortunately, no matter how they tried, the crayfish they made were hard to swallow. Wen's restaurant on Commercial Street 1. Deng Ning thought that he seemed to have never heard of this restaurant name. Seeing his puzzled look, Wen Jiu spoke again. "It's the location of the former food house, number 16, Commercial Street 1. Hearing the familiar name of food house, Deng Ning remembered that when his colleagues were chatting, they mentioned that Lao Chu rented out his own store. They also discussed at the time that, if Lao Chu was in financial difficulties, they could organize a fundraising event in the commercial district to help him, but the colleagues who were sent to visit Lao Chu came back and said that the other party was unwilling to accept everyone's donations, so they had to give up the fundraising event. Deng Ning didn't expect that the person who rented Lao Chu's shop was actually a young girl. "You are the new shop owner? You are much younger than I thought." He couldn't find the right words to describe his feelings. How old are other people to open a shop and become bosses while he is still working as a worker in the management department at his age? The comparison made him feel inexplicably sad. Brother Deng is still young, and he will definitely achieve great things in the future. Wen Jiu smiled and eased the atmosphere. She didn't understand why the other party suddenly became sad. She was still in a hurry to sign the contract and go back to Wen Jiu restaurant to make snowflake crisps. She couldn't delay here any longer. So she continued to say, "If there are no other questions, why don't you draw up a contract now, Brother Deng? I will buy 100 kilograms of shrimp to try it out first, and I will come to you again if I want to order more later." Deng Ning then cheered up and found the electronic panel. According to the regulations, He first showed Wen Jiu the details of the Procambarus clarkii. Speaking of which, these materials were originally prepared for sales promotion, but unfortunately, they promoted many stores and none of them were willing to buy in large quantities. Therefore, the information about Procambarus clarkii has not been used for a long time, so when Dengning introduced it, he was a little stuttering. Fortunately, Wen Jiu didn't care about it, and just listened to him quietly. However, Wen Jiu learned from the other party's introduction that Procambarus clarkii will only be cleaned and fished once a year, and each time will last for 7 to 10 days, which means that Procambarus clarkii can only be bought during this period. It's a pity. She thought she could achieve crayfish freedom here. Miss Wen, take a look at this contract. If there is no problem, we can sign it directly here, but you have to leave a contact information of your guardian. A staff member will contact her to confirm. Wen Jiu silently sighed that it was fortunate that he had bound Yu Rumen as a guardian, otherwise there were many things she really couldn't do as a minor. I don't know if God saw that she had lived too comfortably before, so he brought her here to be a cub with so much suffering. I have signed the contract. Please send me the crayfish as soon as possible. Wen Jiu handed the electronic panel for signing the contract to Dengning. I want fresh live shrimp, not frozen ones. Thank you for your help. After she finished speaking, she paused for a moment and then continued. I just saw the staff fishing by the lake. Do you have any stock? Send me 2 kilograms. I just want to take it back to see how the quality is. Since she is here, she must take something with her. Besides, she is a big customer of crayfish. Dengning was stunned for a moment when he heard this, but he quickly reacted. Yes, I'll give you a few more kilograms. After that, he took Wen Jiu out and walked all the way to the warehouse where crayfish were stored. Wait for me here, I'll be there soon. He ran to the warehouse and passed the identity verification and asked the staff to load 5 kilograms of crayfish that had just been caught. In order to avoid the situation where Wen Jiu could not move, he also specially got a small cart. I packed 5 kilograms for you. Take it home and try it first. Dengning handed the cart to Wen Jiu. I got this because I was afraid you couldn't move it. Just leave it in the store. After you use it, I'll ask someone to pick it up later. Wen Jiu, who successfully got the crayfish for free, smiled with curved eyebrows. After saying goodbye to Dengning, she hurriedly pushed the cart back to Wen's restaurant. Xiao Qingyu, come out and move this to the backyard. As soon as she entered the door, she shouted for Xiao Qingyu to come out and move the goods. After all, she had to go to the kitchen to make snowflake crisps. When she thought about making snowflake crisps, she remembered that she hadn't asked Xiao if he was familiar with a food processing factory. But the other party was very angry with her today, so it would be better to wait until he calmed down before asking. Jiaji, what did you buy? Qingyu picked up a box of crayfish with great effort. It was not that he did not want to use a cart, but the cart could not climb the steps in front of Wenji restaurant, so he could only carry the boxes in one by one. Kyoshi was busy preparing ingredients in the kitchen. Although she could not cook yet, she was quite skilled in helping Wen Jiu. As soon as Wen Jiu came back, he asked her to take out the pistachios and shell them, and put the cranberries in the oven for baking. So she stayed in the kitchen and was busy, and had no time to help Qingyu move the boxes. I will make you guys a taste of the new ingredients that others gave me tonight. Qingyu was excited when he heard this. He not only moved the boxes quickly, but he did not even breathe. Okay, Jiaji, do you think my performance is very good? Is it worth giving me more food? He stood at the door of the kitchen and was very enthusiastic, without any arrogance to argue with his brother. However, Wen Jiu ignored him and was busy making marshmallows and cookies, because without these two ingredients, snowflake crisps could not be made. Qingyu was very understanding and did not bother him too much, but he did not want to go back to the second floor alone to face Xiao Hei, so he simply went into the kitchen to deal with the ingredients for the evening. Anyway, the dishes on the menu have not changed, and there are only those ingredients to be processed, so he moved the ingredients out and started processing without Wen Jiu's instructions. These snowflake crisps just need to be packaged. Wen Jiu cut the snowflake crisps into even small pieces with a knife. I'll contact the express robot to pick up the items at home. Shishi, remember to help me send them. She made 3 large plates of snowflake crisps this time, but that was far from enough. There were still many snowflake crisps orders waiting for her, and she felt that she still needed to find Ziziu to ask about the food processing factory. But now she has to be busy preparing the ingredients for the evening. Although Zikingai helped her cut the vegetables, she still needs to marinate the meat and make sweet potato flour by herself. Today's first update has been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support and love 030. Chapter 308 Procamberous Clarky I3. Wen Jiu restaurant was still packed with customers during the evening business hours, and Zikingai and Kyoshi were so busy that they were a little dizzy. Especially Zikingai, who was responsible for serving the dishes, had to remember all the table numbers and the positions of the customers, because after he served the dishes and waited for the customers to leave, he had to collect the remaining dishes. Sister Jiu, are you really not considering buying a robot to serve the dishes? Zikingai took advantage of the short free time in the kitchen waiting for the dishes to be served and silently expressed his doubts. He thought that if a robot was put in the store to serve the dishes, he could only be responsible for cleaning the table, which would be more efficient and could accommodate more customers. Let's talk about it later. 4 servings of hot and sour noodles and 5 servings of fish flavored pork shreds quickly. Wen Jiu was so busy cooking that she had no time to think about other things. Although she was busy in the college for so long, she only needed to make 1 or 2 dishes there, which was completely different from serving dishes in the store. So Zikingai had to cheer up and continue to be his waiter. But what made him speechless was that his brother came again. Why are you still here? Isn't lunch enough? He put the dishes in front of Ziziu unhappily. You only know how to eat. No wonder you still don't have a partner. Ziziu just replied lightly, it's as if you don't need to eat at night if you have lunch. And you look fat now. No wonder no little girls send you love letters. You hum. Zikingai turned around and walked away angrily, not wanting to pay any attention to this annoying brother. With the lesson of random guessing at noon, Jiang Wenliang just ate the hot and sour noodles this time, without thinking about anything else. In the afternoon, he and Ziziu negotiated the contract in the tea house. As long as he went to the company tomorrow to go through the process and stamp it, and then handed it over to the relevant department to handle the transfer procedures, he could get rid of that big burden. His company really couldn't afford the losses of the medium-sized shopping mall. The sooner he transferred it, the sooner he could feel at ease. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, the Z family was really rich and powerful. The eldest young master wanted to buy a shopping mall, so he bought a shopping mall without any reason. Then I'll leave first. President Z, you continue to be busy. Jiang Wenliang took his assistant away and packed 2 bowls of hot and sour noodles, 1 bowl to take back to his wife, and the other bowl for himself as a midnight snack. After Jiang Wenliang left, Ziziu asked his assistant to leave Wen Jiu restaurant because he wanted to stay here to block Wen Jiu. He was a good partner of the other party, so he wanted to ask why he had to pay a 100% discount for his meal. However, before he sat in the store for long, he was asked to leave by Zikingai in a weird way. There are so many customers waiting outside. Do you have the nerve to sit inside and delay Sister Jiu's business? It's just a few more star coins. I know that you are rich, brother, and you will definitely not care about these. So Ziziu could only stand outside the store with a gloomy face and wait until they closed the business before going in. As soon as he walked into the door, he was stopped by Zikingai. Sorry, we don't receive guests. I'm not a customer. I'm here to visit as a family member of an employee. Ziziu relied on the fact that he was an adult and directly pulled his brother aside. Seeing the way these 2 people get along, Kyoshi couldn't help but sigh. It's true that people of the same family are alike. The arrogance and arrogant faces of the 2 people are exactly the same, and even the tone of their words is the same. Ziziu strode to the kitchen door. He lifted the door curtain and wanted to go in and grab Wen Jiu to ask questions, but he didn't find the other party in the kitchen. My sister Jiu doesn't want to see you. Go back to where you came from. Jiu followed closely behind him and kept complaining. And haven't you heard that the kitchen is a restricted area and no outsiders are allowed to enter? However, the other party didn't intend to pay attention to him at all. He walked directly into the kitchen and opened the door of the small warehouse and then walked into the backyard through the open door of the small warehouse. When Jiu was sitting on a small stool with her back to them, she sometimes bent over and sometimes stood up. No one knew what she was doing. Sister Jiu, my brother insisted on breaking in to find you. Jiu decisively spoke up to sue his brother first to avoid being implicated. I heard you guys yelling outside just now. When Jiu turned around with a speechless expression. You two have such loud voices that you can set up a stage at the door to perform bickering. It might attract a lot of customers. When it comes to arguing with people, Wen Jiu is the best. He made the two brothers of the Z family not know how to respond. But Zizu's shamelessness was totally incomparable to his brother. He was stunned for a moment and walked into the backyard and said, I have been looking for you for a long time. Can you tell me why my meals are more expensive than others? When Jiu was busy rubbing mud on the crayfish with a brush and only perfunctorily replied, because you are different from others. You are the pride of heaven, the chosen one, the eldest son of the Z family, the walking statue on earth, and the personified gold ingot. You see, you are so different. I charge you more star coins just to show your difference. So, Master Z, can you go out and don't disturb me while I work? Zizu had heard many people flatter him, but this was the first time he felt so comfortable. Every word of the other party touched his heart, making him feel that it was really too much for him not to give more star coins. So he returned to the hall with a satisfied look, but it was a pity that he walked too fast and didn't hear Wen Jiu's last complaint. How come your brother is easier to fool than you? He is easier to coax. Jiu looked at her brother's back as he left. He just likes to hear others praise him. He is arrogant, narcissistic and proud. Wen Jiu almost laughed out loud when she heard this. She couldn't help but say, you are brothers indeed. You comment on each other in the same way. However, Jiu didn't understand what she meant at all. She took the initiative to move a stool over and wanted to help Wen Jiu with the work. But when he saw what was in the basin clearly, he almost wanted to scream, but he thought that he would be laughed at by his brother if he screamed, so he held back his scream. Jiu, what are you doing? Isn't this a crayfish? He was tricked by Zizu when he was playing in the swimming pool when he was a child. The other party put a few crayfish in it, so he still remembers the pain of being pinched. Yeah, when Jiu didn't understand what he was making a fuss about. I'll use this to make a new dish for you later. It's super delicious. But the always greedy Jiu waved her hands frantically at this time and said, no, I would never eat Procambarus clarkii even if I die. The second update of today has also been successfully delivered. Thank you little angels for your support and love 030. Love you. Chapter 309 Spicy and Garlic 1. Jiu sat at the table and looked at the full pot of Procambarus clarkii. The red shrimps were sprinkled with a thick layer of tender white garlic, exuding a rich aroma that made his tears flow out of his mouth. What are you doing sitting here? When Jiu came out with another pot of spicy crayfish, didn't you say you would never eat it, even if you were beaten to death? Hearing this, Jiu smiled awkwardly. Sister Jiu, you heard it wrong. I said whoever snatches it from me, I will beat to death. Yeah. When Jiu was too lazy to say anything more to him. Anyway, it was not the first time that Zhengxiang slapped her in the face. When she was rubbing the mud on the crayfish with a brush just now, the other party's face turned from green to purple, and then from purple to white. She thought Jiu had some psychological shadow on this thing. However, she didn't know that Jiu did have a psychological shadow, but no matter how big the shadow was, it couldn't stop the greed of a foodie. When Jiu was very satisfied with the 5 kilograms of crayfish sent by Dengling. Each shrimp was full of vitality. It was obvious that they were freshly caught. Not to mention the big size. Each one was yellow. She was greedy just by sitting there and brushing the mud. The water quality of East Lake has always been very good, clean and clear with almost no mud and sand, so she didn't spend much time to wash the shrimps, and she was more accustomed to calling them crayfish instead of crayfish. Modern crayfish can be said to be varied, such as garlic spicy, oil, braised and 13 spices, etc. Among these methods, Wen Jiu's favorite is garlic, followed by 13 spices. But there were not enough spices in the small warehouse to make 13 spices crayfish, and she didn't want Zikingayu to run alone at this time. After all, she was very tired after a busy day, so she decided to make garlic and spicy flavors. Before starting to make it, she also opened the back of each crayfish so that it could be more flavorful when cooking, and there was no need to peel the shell when eating. And she also needed to cut off half of the crayfish's head, the front end of its claws and its abdomen, because she couldn't handle it fast enough by herself. She also asked Kaioshishi to help her. Kaioshishi was a little afraid of the lively crayfish at first, but after Wen Jiu said some encouraging words to her, she picked up the scissors and started cutting. You will have to fight against the Orim and deep sea shrimp that is countless times larger than this in the future, so you should try your hand on its species now, and you will be able to cut an Orim and deep sea shrimp with one knife in the future. With Wen Jiu's encouragement, Kaioshishi took out the fierce momentum of facing her enemy, and soon she finished processing 2 large basins of crayfish. After the crayfish is processed, it must be heated up first, so that the shrimp meat can be more compact and taste better. After taking it out, replace it with new oil and pour in minced garlic and chili to stir fry until fragrant. Then pour the crayfish that has been heated up in hot oil into it, and stir fry over high heat. When it changes color, add spices and seasonings, and finally add a little water to simmer. Ziziu, come and serve the dishes. After Wen Jiu prepared a pot of garlic crayfish, she quickly washed the pot and started to prepare spicy dishes. She could see that Zikingayu was very averse to crayfish, so she called Ziziu in to serve the dishes. It was impossible to eat and drink for free at her place. Even if she didn't pay star coins, she had to put in some effort. When Ziziu heard the call at first, he was confused because no one had ever asked him to serve dishes since he was a child, so he ignored Wen Jiu's call and even thought that the other party wanted to call his brother, but called the wrong person. Ziziu, if you don't come in to serve the dishes, you can leave my stall now. Wen Jiu's voice rang out again, making Ziziu's head buzz. Who is he? He is the eldest son of the Z family. How can he do such a thing as serving dishes? Brother, go quickly. You don't think you don't have to work because you are the eldest son of the Z family? Zikingayu stuck out her tongue at him. I'm still the young master of the Z family, but I still have to work, otherwise I won't have anything to eat. Fazio was silent after hearing this. It was rare for him not to retort to his brother, because what the other party said was the truth. What's the use of having the identity of the eldest son of the Z family? This identity can't even get you a bowl of egg fried rice with Wen Jiu. So he walked into the kitchen dejectedly, and then walked out with a big basin of garlic crayfish on his face full of disgust. But he soon lost his disgust, because the smell was too tempting. The crayfish is a bright red color, covered with tender white garlic paste, and occasionally decorated with a few tender green onions and bright red pepperings. Just looking at it makes people feel hungry. It was also because of the strong garlic aroma that made Zikingayu sit down at the table involuntarily, which made Wen Jiu, who was the last to leave the kitchen, complain about him. I'm serious, if you don't want to eat, you can go to the second floor. Wen Jiu put the spicy crayfish on the table, and 2 large basins of crayfish instantly occupied most of the table. Sister Jiu, you really heard it wrong. I said that whoever grabs it will be beaten to death. Zikingayu now regrets why she said that. Seeing that he didn't seem to be particularly averse to crayfish, Wen Jiu didn't continue to say anything to him. Ziziu, go to the kitchen and get a pot of sour plum soup from the refrigerator. She gave everyone a small bowl and poured a small amount of vinegar into the bowl to dip the crayfish in. Especially with the spicy crayfish, the spicy and sour taste is hard to get over. Ziziu walked into the kitchen reluctantly and came out with a kettle. When you eat, you have to peel off the shell from this opening. When Jiu was teaching with a crayfish, the shrimp roe here can also be eaten, and the meat in the claws can also be eaten. He walked back while listening. When he returned to his seat again, he realized why the other party didn't call him Big Brother anymore, and even called him by his real name. Ahem. Little Wen Jiu, why are you? He was about to ask a question when he heard Wen Jiu shout let's eat, and saw Zikingayu and Kaioshishi decisively attack the crayfish, and no one cared about what he was going to say. The eldest son of the Z family, who had been smooth sailing for more than 20 years, and was held in high esteem by others, suffered a lot at Wen Jiu restaurant today. Not only did he have to work by himself, but no one cared about him. Ziziu suddenly understood why his younger brother became so obedient, because the identity of the young master of the Z family was useless here, and he could only get a meal by being obedient and working hard. This made him, who had always been annoyed with his younger brother, feel a little pity at this moment. However, this pity soon dissipated because he slowly peeled a garlic crayfish. Today's third update was also successfully delivered. Not latey, thank you all the little angels for your votes. 030. Chapter 310 Spicy and Garlic 2. The tender white shrimp meat was full and firm, and when it was eaten with the fresh and fragrant shrimp roe, Ziziu felt like he was in heaven. The delicious shrimp roe was also spicy, and the shrimp meat itself was sweet when chewed gently. The taste of this garlic crayfish was not inferior to the flower blossom hibiscus made by Wen Jiu before. It could not be said to be better, but it could be said to be evenly matched. Ziziu was surprised by the taste, and didn't know what to say. Of course, he could see that this shrimp was the most useless and the most unpalatable crayfish. At first, he thought that Wen Jiu was really bold and dared to use anything to cook, but he didn't expect that the other party could make this ingredient so delicious. It reminded him of a saying on the Star Network, the more skilled, the more courageous. Zikingayu next to him did exactly the same as his brother. He peeled the garlic crayfish one by one, and the firm, plump and extremely chewy shrimp meat really made him unable to extricate himself. There is also the delicious shrimp roe that will overflow if you are not careful. It is so delicious that you can't wait to swallow your tongue. Woo woo woo. Jiu, you are so good. Wen Jiu's cooking skills have successfully helped him overcome his fear of Procambarus clarkii. The red shrimp body is wrapped in golden garlic paste, and the white shrimp meat after peeling is full of rich garlic flavor. And no matter how many he eats, he feels that it is not enough, and he still wants to eat more. He took the time to praise Wen Jiu's cooking skills, and even Ziziu said a few words of praise, but only Kaioshishi kept eating, because she was completely immersed in the deliciousness of crayfish. The peeled crayfish paste was fat and thick, and the spicy smell kept coming to her, making her unable to divert her attention just by smelling the smell. The delicious shrimp roe was sucked into the mouth, bringing an ultimate taste experience, and then swallowing the shrimp meat soaked in salty and fragrant soup. The spicy and numbing taste made her feel even more refreshed. Compared with the strong aroma of garlic, she prefers spicy crayfish. When there was only one garlic crayfish left, Zikingayu and Ziziu had a fierce quarrel. I'm your biological brother. I still remember that you bullied me with Procambarus clarkii when I was a child. Be careful or I will go back to my parents and complain about you. Oh, go ahead. I just played a prank on you. What's more, the marks of being pinched on your body have disappeared long ago. Even if you tell them, no one will believe you. Wen Jiu realized after hearing their argument that Zikingayu really had a psychological shadow on crayfish, and it was his biological brother who gave him the psychological shadow. He is really a good brother. How about this? You give me this shrimp, and I will give you the model you wanted before. Ziziu took the initiative to put forward the conditions to prompt Zikingayu to give up the last shrimp. If it were any other time, he would have grabbed it without saying anything. He also considered that Wen Jiu and another little girl were here, and he felt that doing so would damage his image, so he started to negotiate with his brother. However, Zikingayu ignored his conditions and said, I already have many models, so I don't need your one at all. And Ad said that he will bring it to me next time he goes on a business trip, so why do I need you to give me the model? And you don't even have the nerve to eat the last shrimp when you don't even work. I'm an excellent employee of Wen Jiu restaurant. Seeing that the quarrel between the two was getting more and more intense, Wen Jiu silently reached out and picked up the lonely garlic crayfish, then slowly peeled it and put it into his mouth, enjoying the delicious and chewy shrimp meat and the fragrant garlic. Her move made Zikingayu and Ziziu speechless at the same time. They didn't expect that someone would take the last shrimp at this time, and the person who made this move was someone they didn't dare to confront. You and me. Sigh. Ziziu silently stood up and walked to the bathroom. He had been eating so enthusiastically that he even took off his gloves. Only now did he realize that his hands were covered with oil. Zikingayu, who dared not say a word, followed him to wash his hands. After returning, she was very sensible and cleaned up the messy table. You two can clean up outside slowly. Shishi and I will clean the kitchen. Wen Jiu ordered them to work very naturally, but Ziziu didn't understand why he had to work too. If you don't want to work, transfer money to me. You can't eat my food anywhere else, so you have to transfer me at least 50,000 star coins. Hearing this, Ziziu, who has always been generous, actually gave up the option of transferring money. He walked to Zikingayu with disgust on his face and began to learn from her how to clean the table and clean the house. Alas. Ziziu sighed while waving the broom. He, the eldest son of the Fei family, had fallen to this point just to make a living and was forced to do housework by a little girl. Brother, listen to me. Do you know why you still don't have a partner? Zikingayu's depressed expression was completely different from his brother's. He was even wiping the table with a smile on his face. I don't have a partner because I have high standards. It's not that no one is chasing me, right? Ziziu immediately started talking nonsense. And as your brother and the eldest son of the Fei family, I certainly can't be too casual when looking for a partner. He said a lot of things in a row. It was not until he shut up that Zikingayu said slowly, I used to think that you had high standards, but now that I've grown up, I understand that you can't find a partner because you don't like doing housework. Not liking to do housework has nothing to do with not being able to find a partner. Ziziu retorted coldly. It's not like he didn't have the money to buy a housekeeping robot, so why should he do the housework himself? However, his brother just continued, then why don't you have a girlfriend? He was almost laughed at by the other party's question. Then may I ask, little Zikingayu, you have been doing housework for so long, why haven't you found a girlfriend yet? Because I'm still young and should focus on studying. I will have one when I grow up. Zikingayu made a face at him and then quickly ran away to get a mop. He looked righteous, but in fact, a blush had already flown up his face. He ran away so quickly just to cover it up. With your bad temper, you won't be able to find a girlfriend when you grow up. It is easy to imagine that Ziziu, who is arrogant and cold outside, would argue with his brother about this kind of issue for a while. Seeing that Zikingayu ran away and ignored him, he simply threw the towel and sat on the chair. Whoever wants to do this kind of tiring work can do it. Anyway, he can't do it. Ziziu, why are you sitting there and being lazy? When Jiu came out of the kitchen and caught a glimpse of him, everyone was cleaning seriously, only he was sitting there angrily. How old are you? We kids are all working hard. How can you sit here and be lazy? Ziziu felt so guilty that she could only reluctantly get up, take back the towel, and continue wiping the table. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311 Spicy and Garlic 3. Ziziu didn't expect that instead of getting back the star coins, he was forced by Wen Jiu to clean for nearly half an hour. Just when he wanted to sit on a chair and rest for a while, he heard the other party say loudly, okay, if you have nothing else to do, you can take your brother back. I won't go with him, I can go back by myself. Zikingayu has long been accustomed to working, and he often does physical training in the academy. Therefore, he doesn't feel very tired now, but he is a little tired mentally. Ziziu, who was disliked by his younger brother again, felt speechless. "Don't talk like I want to take you back, and I dislike you for dirtying my car." Seeing the scene of them bickering, Wen Jiu inexplicably felt sorry for their parents. It must be very uncomfortable to have such an annoying pair of sons. "If you've had enough of quarreling, just leave quickly, and don't delay me and Shishi from going home." She slammed the table and paused for a moment. "Hey, Ziziu, do you know anyone in the food processing industry?" Ziziu immediately put on airs when he heard this. He leaned lazily on his chair with a smile on his face. "I know him, and I can introduce him to you, but you have to give me some benefits." He finally found the opportunity to show off his identity. As the eldest son of the Z family, he knew a lot of people in the business world, so it was quite easy for him to find a reliable food processor. "It's impossible to give a discount, but I can give you a potion formula." Wen Jiu pulled out a chair next to him and sat down, "and you will definitely not find this formula anywhere else." Hearing this, Ziziu tapped the table lightly and pretended to be nonchalant and asked, "What potion formula have you improved?" "It can't be said to be an improvement. It's a potion formula I created myself." Wen Jiu paused for a moment after he finished speaking. "It's a small pill that can cure colds and fevers. I believe you can definitely use it." Ziziu smiled when he heard this and said, "There's no need to take pills or drink potions for colds and fevers. Just lie down in the medical cabin and you will be cured." "It's so expensive to lie down in the medical cabin." "You have so many star coins in your pocket that you can take them out to rain star coins. Naturally, you won't care about the star coins of lying down in the medical cabin." Wen Jiu slowly explained his thoughts, and Ziziu's expression became more serious. For the civilians of planet 3047, the star coins spent on lying down in the medical cabin are equivalent to several months' salary. For those poorer people, those star coins are enough to allow them to spend a whole year in peace. Diseases such as colds and fevers seem to be easy to solve. Even if you don't go to the medical cabin and sleep at home, you can recover, but more people will have their conditions worsen because they don't get timely treatment. Every year, there are many people who develop more serious diseases due to fever, so it is necessary and marketable to launch a medicine or pill that can cure colds and fevers in time. It's not that there were no such drugs before, but after the existence of the medical cabin, many people are unwilling to take medicine or injections. After all, who would be willing to swallow pills and drink bitter medicine when they can solve the problem by lying down and sleeping? This has led to more and more people choosing medical cabins, thus giving up the previous methods of treating diseases. Therefore, current pharmaceutical companies mainly produce battlefield drugs, such as physical recovery potions, mental recovery potions, rapid healing gels, etc. No one will develop and produce those daily medicines. My pills don't need expensive herbs to make them, so the cost is quite low, which makes them very suitable for selling to ordinary people or even poorer people. Wen Jiu told Ziziu the names of the herbs he was going to use. In fact, this formula was the Kingajidu pill she created in modern times. Although she always had furnace explosions when refining pills, it was no big problem to rub pills. Therefore, she created many kinds of pills, and the efficacy of each pill was quite good. It's a pity that she didn't know why the probability of furnace explosions when refining pills was abnormally high. If the pills could be turned into pills, the efficacy would be super doubled. Little Wen Jiu, you've made a very tempting offer. Ziziu looked at Wen Jiu with her chin supported by one hand. If it was another girl who was stared at by his charming peach blossom eyes, she would blush in less than 3 seconds. But the other party just blinked and looked at him, and the way her eyes were shining was like looking at a mountain of star coins. "I can't decide this easily, but you can send me the formula first. Find me a reliable food processing factory first, and I'll send you the formula." He sighed and retracted his gaze, silently lamenting how he could meet such a little girl who was more annoying and cunning than his hateful brother. "Okay, I'll ask someone to contact you right away." Ziziu knew that he couldn't argue with her, so he simply chose to admit defeat. "What kind of food do you need to process and produce, so I can find a suitable food processing factory for you?" Wen Jiu wanted to go to the kitchen to get some snowflake crisps as samples, but she suddenly remembered that the batch she made in the afternoon had all been packaged and sent away. So she could only spread her hands and said, "I have a large order of snowflake crisps to make, which is a salty and sweet snack. Because there are too many orders and I can't handle it myself, I have to find a food processing factory to cooperate with me." After listening to her words, Ziziu felt that he still had too little knowledge. "Is this snowflake crisp you mentioned delicious?" He rarely showed a curious look. Before Wen Jiu could answer, he heard Zikingayu standing not far away say in a weird tone, "It's delicious. We have snowflake crisps for afternoon tea every day. It's a pity that you can't eat it." It was the first time that Ziziu was speechless by his brother. He sat in silence like a big cat drenched in rain. However, no one felt sorry for him, and some people even stabbed him. "Try your best to help me find a reliable food processing factory as soon as possible. When the production is large, I will let you taste it. Only those who work hard can eat delicious food. Look at how hard your brother works. You should work harder to learn from him." Ziziu didn't know how he left Wen Jiu restaurant in the end. He only knew that his heart was broken. Not only did he not get an explanation for the extra star coins he spent, but he once again became a tool of the hateful Wen Jiu, and he took the initiative to help the other party find a reliable food processing factory quickly. Wen Jiu is simply a devil. After squeezing his brother, he comes to squeezing him again. "Brother, we're home." Zikingayu looked at Ziziu, who was in a state of despair and couldn't help but sigh silently again. His sister Jiu is really powerful. She can also make his brother obedient. Today's second update is also perfectly delivered. Thank you little angels for your support and love. Thank you everyone. 030. Chapter 312 Sunbadeo and Liu Daoba 1. Fortune telling, divination, drawing talismans and writing calligraphy. The price is fair. Welcome to Ask. Wen Jiu yawned as she sat at the table practicing calligraphy. She hadn't come to the Star Network world to set up a stall for many days. Because she moved the stall, many customers couldn't find her new stall for a while. So she could only practice calligraphy first, and then draw 2 pictures of chickens pecking at rice to pass the time, waiting for those customers to come to her. "Master Sun, it's so hard for me to find you." Wen Jiu looked up when she heard the voice and saw a bald man with a scar on his face walking towards her in a swagger. "I've heard a lot about you." The scarred man walked up to her and bowed, then pulled out a chair and sat down. "Master Sun, please tell Scar Liu's fortune. I heard that you are very accurate in fortune telling. Do you have any extremely effective talismans that you can sell me?" The scarred man howled for a long time, and Sunbadeo waved his hand impatiently at him and said, "I don't tell fortunes for people who use virtual images, and you don't have the fate to buy talismans." Wen Jiu knew that the scarred man was using a virtual image the first time she saw him, and she never told fortunes for such people. Although she could tell fortunes, she was not stupid. The scarred man was obviously here to make trouble, so why should she explain so much to him? Master Sun is really arrogant. Seeing that the other party was too lazy to say more and wanted to drive him away, the scarred man sneered and crossed his legs, thinking that he had to show off his power to Sunbadeo first. "Why don't you tell fortunes for me? Aren't you known as a fortune teller? How come you can't tell fortunes for people who use virtual images?" As he said this, he wanted to slap the table in front of him to intimidate him. Unexpectedly, the moment his hand was raised and dropped, the wooden table in front of him disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Everyone who has been in the Star Network world knows that this is the owner taking the virtual item back into the space. The scarred man naturally knew what was going on, but his palm had already fallen heavily, causing him to fall forward from the chair. "Brother, let's talk it over nicely. There's no need to be so polite." Wen Jiu spoke in a sarcastic tone, while quickly packing up her belongings from the stall. It's not that she was afraid of fighting with the other party, she was just afraid that the fight would accidentally damage the things she spent money on. The scarred man was lying face down on the ground, attracting people passing by to stop and want to find out what was going on. "Sunbadeo, you." Liu Daoba quickly stood up and shouted at Wen Jiu. He had never encountered such a shameful thing. Maybe, but he was thick-skinned and had long forgotten those things. He only knew that it was Sun Badeo who made him lose face. He was a small vendor selling talismans at the Xinguang night market. He sold whatever talismans the customers needed. Anyway, those talismans could not play any role except as decorations. And he was not selling fake products. He would say some nice words to please the customers before selling them, and then stamp a small seal on the back of the talisman when they were not paying attention. The product was for appreciation only and had no practical effect. In this case, the customers bought it, and it would not be his fault. Who told them not to check the small print on the talisman carefully? The best talisman he sold was the fortune talisman, followed by the peach blossom talisman and the health talisman. Those customers who suffered losses would not come to him to buy a second time, and would even post a Xingbo to let others avoid the pit. But Liu Daoba didn't care about these, because since he started this business, he never thought that there would be fools as repeat customers. Until the big four named Zenfu appeared and successfully refreshed Liu Daoba's cognition. The other party bought the fortune talisman from him again and again, and he felt a little embarrassed after buying it. But not long after, Zenfu stopped coming to him to buy talismans. He thought that the other party had finally become smart, but he didn't expect that he would change to another stall to continue buying talismans. He was simply a pioneer in superstition, and Liu Daoba often told this story to his colleagues as a joke. But what he never expected was that Zenfu was actually rich, and rich as hell. Moreover, the other party was rich, and he ran out to make trouble when he was selling the fortune talisman to customers, saying that the talismans he sold here were all decorations, and the talismans sold by another stall were the real ones that were useful. Liu Daoba didn't care about these at first, and thought that Zenfu was deceived by another big liar with deeper deception. His sweet words were naturally more attractive than Zenfu's words, so the customer first bought a fortune talisman from him, and then followed Zenfu to another stall to buy a talisman. But when he was selling the talisman, he didn't realize that the customer was actually a hard nut to crack. The other party complained to him a few days ago, saying that he exaggerated his products to deceive consumers, which caused him to be reclaimed by the management department of Xinguang Night Market, and he was also asked to compensate a large amount of star coins to that person. Later, he found out that the customer followed Zenfu to buy a peace amulet, and the person escaped with the peace amulet not long after, so he thought that Liu Daoba was destroying the reputation of the real amulet, so he went to the management department to complain about him. Originally, this complaint would not work, but the other party had a peace amulet for comparison, and there was also a recording of his exaggeration at the time, so he lost his stall and star coins. So he thought he had to find a way to retaliate. In addition to retaliating against the customer who complained about him, he also wanted to retaliate against Zenfu who took people to buy the amulet, and the most important thing was the person who sold the amulet. If that person had not sold the so-called effective amulet, how could he have been complained by the customer and lost his stall? So he asked around and found out that there was a guy named Sun Badeo who also set up a stall to sell talismans at the Xinguang night market and also did fortune telling. Liu Daoba got even angrier when he heard the name. It would have been fine if he had copied his stall to sell talismans, but he actually dared to copy his name and was even so arrogant as to take fortune telling jobs, not afraid of being sued in the federal court by customers. So he began to wait for Sun Badeo all day, but he never saw him come online as the days passed. Just when he thought Sun Badeo had run away and would not appear again, he heard from others that he had changed his stall. He quickly found out the detailed location and came here to look for him, thinking that he would show his power to the other party, but he was embarrassed by him instead. Sun Badeo, we are in the same business. Why do you have to steal my business? And don't think I don't know what you do. Fortune telling and magic spells are all fools. You'd better tell me honestly whether you asked people to destroy my business, and where do you get those high-end spells you sell? If you are willing to share your purchasing channels with me, I will not expose your ugly deeds. Today's third update was delivered by the little author with a grunt thanks to every little angel again. Very quiet, can the little angels vote for recommendation? There are so few votes recently. Woo 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 cack, I want some votes to be cast on me ORZ. Chapter 313 Sun Badao and Liu Daoba 2. Wen Jiu thought Liu Daoba would fight with him, but he just talked nonsense here, attracting passers-by to quietly stop around. After all, who doesn't like to watch the fun? How about it? If you are willing to push the supply channel to me, I won't go to the management department to expose you. Liu Daoba glanced around proudly and found that the people around him were indeed attracted by his loud voice, so he straightened his back even more. His original plan was to use this to threaten Sun Badao. After all, a liar knows a liar best, and he knows how to catch the opponent's weakness. I believe Sun Badao will definitely want to settle this matter quickly, and then tell him his supply channel. Hurry up, we are in the same industry after all. Liu Daoba pretended to be doing good for the other party. People in the same industry must help each other, and I will not set up a stall in Xinguang night market in the future. Tell me the supply channel, and I will not steal your business when I change my stall in the future. He talked for a long time, wanting to see how Sun Badao would react. As a result, he glanced around and didn't find the other person at all. Sun Badao actually logged off and left. Damn. He was so angry that he stomped his feet on the spot and kept muttering beautiful compliments. However, Sun Badao did not log off and leave. He just thought Liu Daoba was too annoying, so he directly used the coordinate conversion function. Hello, I want to report someone for harassing me and affecting my normal stall. When Jiu came to the management department of Xinguang night market, she found a staff member to express her demands. I'm the owner of the mobile stall at number 19, D4 Street. Please get rid of the person who harassed me as soon as possible. As she spoke, she took out the evidence she had prepared. When Liu Daoba was talking, she took a picture of the other person's appearance and recorded it. Okay, we will deal with it as soon as possible. The staff's attitude was very good. He took Wen Jiu to the rest area and poured her a cup of tea. Not long after she sat down, she saw the security team escorting Liu Daoba towards him. Damn. Sun Badao, you shameless man. You actually came here to sue me. Are you a man or not? What's the point of suing me privately? Wen Jiu didn't understand why these people liked to ask her if she was a man, because she was not a man. Mr. Sun, please come this way. Let's have a two-way narrative and understand the complete story. Unlike Liu Daoba, who was taken in, Wen Jiu was respectfully invited in by the staff. On the one hand, it was because she was the stall owner here, and on the other hand, because she had assisted in the capture of fugitives. The management department of Xinguang night market awarded her an honorary red flower, and she could enjoy the red flower preferential treatment as long as she came to the management department to do business. Mr. Sun, please have a cup of tea to moisten your throat first. The staff first took her to a seat and then poured her a cup of hot tea. Liu Daoba, who was sandwiched between two big men, saw this scene and his eyes were wet with envy. The other party not only had a beautiful lady to treat him softly, but also delicious hot tea and a cushioned chair. He only had two big men sitting on his left and right to watch over him, and they were sitting on cold, hard iron chairs. Thank you. Wen Jiu thanked him politely and then took a sip of the teacup. The gap between the two was so big that Liu Daoba was so angry that he started to make a fuss. Why does he have a young lady to serve him hot tea and a soft chair? However, the big man sitting on his left only said coldly, Mr. Sun has a little red flower, do you have one? Liu Daoba was stunned by this because he naturally knew the existence of the little red flower in the Starlight night market. Legend has it that only good people who have helped a lot can get the little red flower, and people with the little red flower can receive certain preferential treatment in the management department. He couldn't imagine that a liar like Sun Badao could actually help a lot and become a good person, and he also successfully got the little red flower and enjoyed preferential treatment. Now that everyone is here, let's start the narration. Please don't exaggerate. Just tell the story as it is. The two staff members who were responsible for handling this incident also took their seats. One of them opened the light screen panel to record, and the other held a teacup and prepared to listen. Liu Daoba had only been here once some time ago. At that time, he was complained by his customer. Then he was brought here by the security team while setting up his stall. Therefore, he was also an experienced person. He thought about speaking first to gain the upper hand, so as to prevent Sun Badao from reversing right and wrong. Moreover, he had been blacklisted by the management department of Xinguang Night Market. If he was blacklisted again, he would never be able to enter Xinguang Night Market again. So Liu Daoba shouted directly, "I want to speak first." It was Sun Badao who hired people to mess up my stall, which not only made me unable to do business, but also lost a lot of money. "Mr. Sun, please speak first. We are going to start recording here." The staff member looked like he had heard nothing and smiled and motioned Wen Jiu to tell the story first. Wen Jiu naturally took over the topic and then recounted the whole thing in detail and also mentioned that she was renting a mobile stall and wasting one more minute here would be a waste of her star coins. After listening, the staff said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mr. Sun, I see that you have only set up the stall for less than half an hour. We will refund 80% of the stall fee to you as compensation later." "Okay, thank you for your trouble." Wen Jiu expressed her gratitude again. This was the reason why she came to the management department to report. If she quarreled and fought with Liu Daoba at the stall, she would most likely be arrested and questioned by the security team for disturbing the order. But if she didn't do something, Liu Daoba would continue to make trouble at her stall, causing those customers to be afraid to come forward, and there would be no point for her to waste time there. Therefore, she felt that it was safest to go through the official procedures, which would not only get rid of Liu Daoba, but also not cause her any losses. "Okay, it's your turn, suspect Liu Daoba." Because he had been blacklisted by the management department, the staff changed their attitude towards Liu Daoba. Liu Daoba resisted the urge to curse. The difference between the treatment of the little red flower and the blacklist was too big. He tried to tell the story from beginning to end in a gentle and respectful tone, but there were so many exaggerated elements in it that it was unbearable to listen. "Liu Daoba, please take this matter seriously and don't confuse right and wrong. What do you mean Mr. Sun sent someone to mess up your stall? The Mr. Zen you mentioned came to our department last week and said he wanted to send Mr. Sun a banner to express his gratitude. Today's first update has been delivered. Thank you little angels for your support and love 030. Chapter 314 Sun Badao and Liu Daoba 3. Liu Daoba looked at Sun Badao in disbelief. He really thought that Zenfu was hired by the other party to cause trouble, but he didn't expect that he was just an ordinary customer and even gave Sun Badao a banner to express his gratitude. And it's not just Mr. Zen who gave Mr. Sun a banner. We have received several customers who expressed their desire to give Mr. Sun a banner, and many customers came to us to praise Mr. Sun. It can be said that Mr. Sun was our excellent stall owner last month. The more Liu Daoba heard these words, the uglier his face became. He didn't expect that he would run into such a tough bone, but he still gritted his teeth and continued, Okay, Sun Badao is a good person, okay. Then how do you explain the talismans he sells? Can't I say that he sells fakes and exaggerate? He didn't believe that the other party could sell real things because the talismans that work don't exist at all. So he firmly believed that Sun Badao was a liar like himself, but the other party's Taoism was more advanced, and the deception was more sophisticated. Being able to deceive those customers and even give them banners is enough to show how good Sun Badao is at deceiving people. Liu Daoba was thinking about how to expose these ugly faces after he left if the staff sided with Sun Badao. As a result, Sun Badao smiled and took out 2 pieces of yellow paper from the space. I heard that you want to try whether my talisman is real or fake. After that, he took out cinnabar and a brush and inkstone, and then wrote 2 talismans with a big stroke. The handwriting was unrestrained and majestic, and the way he drew the talisman looked quite like a master, which made everyone in the room hold their breath and concentrate, for fear of disturbing him. Come on, try it. Wen Jiu casually drew 2 talismans, and after that, she picked up one and walked in front of Liu Daoba, and then stuck the talisman on the other's forehead. What are you doing? Liu Daoba's words were not unfinished, but he found that he suddenly couldn't make a sound. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make any sound, which made him so frightened that his face began to turn pale. He wanted to take off the spell on his forehead, but the two big men sitting on his left and right held him down firmly so that he couldn't move. What kind of spell is this? The young lady who served tea to Wen Jiu asked curiously, and her question was exactly what the other staff were thinking about. Because no one believed in the existence of metaphysics, let alone the effectiveness of these spells. So even though many customers came to the management department to praise Sun Badao, they didn't really give him the title of excellent store owner. After all, no one believed in those fortune-telling things, and if Sun Badao turned over one day, they would be complained and bear part of the responsibility. It's just to make him unable to speak temporarily, and he can recover after taking off the spell. Wen Jiu returned to her seat again and took out a few more yellow papers to fold the paper. After a while, she folded a paper rabbit with her fingertips flying, and after folding it, she injected a trace of spiritual power into it. As her ability level increased, she could feel the spiritual power in her body slowly recovering. The paper rabbit seemed to come alive and began to jump on the table. Wow, your rabbit is so magical. Linky couldn't help but pull out a chair and sit next to her. She was the staff member who poured tea for Wen Jiu just now. Although the Star Network world is a virtual network world, most of the people here are real. Because the Star Network world needs a large number of people to manage and maintain order, the staff include not only virtual characters, but also real people. Some small things, if you like them, I'll give them to you. Wen Jiu pressed the paper rabbit to Lin Qi and then taught her how to use mental power to drive the paper rabbit. The paper rabbit has a spiritual power in its body, and it doesn't need mental power to drive the paper rabbit to move. It's just that she can't explain this principle, so she just let these people think that she is driving it with mental power. Then why can't he make a sound? Is it also because of your mental interference? The staff member who was responsible for recording pointed at Liu Daoba. Since when Jiu put the talisman on Liu Daoba, he couldn't make any sound, no matter how hard he tried. His face was extremely pale and there was a lot of cold sweat on his forehead. Well, it's almost the same. Wen Jiu thought for a moment before answering. She couldn't say it was the effect of the spiritual power injection, or the staff would treat her as a nonsense charlatan in the next second. In order to show that her talisman was indeed effective, she walked over and peeled off the talisman on Liu Daoba's forehead. Sun Badao, you damn bastard. My voice is back. Liu Daoba was very surprised. He was about to curse a few more times when he saw the other party put a new talisman on his forehead at a very fast speed. Soon he felt a strange feeling, and then he couldn't help but let out a sound. Burp. The sound of this burp was so loud that the staff in the room couldn't help but show a look of disgust and surprise. You burp. You did burp to me. Burp. Liu Daoba couldn't stop burping crazily, and the twitching feeling made him very uncomfortable. It's the same as the spell just now. If you take it off, you won't hiccup anymore. Although when Jiu said this, she didn't mean to help the other party take off the spell. Whether it was the mute spell or the hiccup spell, they were all created by her when she was bored. These spells were often bought by her senior brothers and sisters to play tricks on each other. It's amazing. Lin Qi was very interested in these spells. Can you sell me a few of these spells? She slapped her mouth as soon as she finished speaking. Now, both parties were talking about how to solve the problem. According to the staff rules, she couldn't say such words. So she said embarrassedly, I'm sorry, I lost my temper. Just pretend I didn't say that. Yeah. Wen Jiu nodded. Although she didn't know the situation of these staff members, she knew that they couldn't say such words while working. Now that I have proven that my spells are real and effective, what else do you want to report me for? Of course, you can also say that the spells I sold to Mr. Zen and his people were not these two, so it is impossible to prove whether those spells are effective, and then continue to report me for selling fakes. But I believe that the staff will definitely give me justice. So Liu Daoba, you are going to apologize and compensate or continue to report. Choose quickly and don't waste my time. Wen Jiu tore off the spell on Liu Daoba's forehead and patted him on the shoulder. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered, thanks again to the little angels for their support. 030. Chapter 315 Spiritual Power of Evil 1. Liu Daoba had just been relieved from the pain of constant hiccups, and now he had to face the uncomfortable feeling of being surrounded by big men. There was a mighty strong man on the left and right, and now there was a burly Sun Badao behind him. He just felt like he was a big man. Liu Daoba, don't act stupid. The staff patted the table to make him concentrate. Frightened by the patting sound, coupled with the power of Sun Badao's spell, Liu Daoba decisively chose to admit defeat. I'm sorry, brother Sun. Please forgive me, can we reconcile? He wanted to solve it by reconciliation, because in this way he would not be blacklisted for the second time, and he could continue to enter the Starlight Night Market in the future. At that time, he would spend some star coins to change his nickname and appearance, and then go to Sun Badao's stall to make trouble. After he made trouble, he would quickly change the coordinates and run away, so that he would not be caught by the security team. Liu Daoba made plans seriously, and even planned how to go to Sun Badao's stall to cause damage. However, Wen Jiu was not stupid. She came to the management department to report in order to completely solve the problem with the least loss. So she said in a cold voice, I don't accept the settlement. Liu Daoba not only affected my reputation, but also made me lose a lot of star coins. Therefore, I ask him to apologize to me and compensate me, and also put him on the blacklist of Xinguang Night Market, to prevent him from harassing me again in the future. Liu Daoba didn't expect that the other party would really do things so decisively and directly block his retreat. You know, those of them who do business will leave a way out for others no matter what. After all, as the saying goes, leave a way out for others, so that they can meet again in the future. But Sun Badao didn't leave him any way to live, and was determined to drive him out of Xinguang Night Market. Sun Badao, let me tell you, don't think you can rest easy just by driving me, Liu Daoba, away. If one of me falls, there are thousands and thousands of you, right? This is an old-fashioned quote from many years ago. Can you change your words? Wen Jiu interrupted his passionate speech directly. She had seen a lot of such inspirational quotes in Long Ocean's novels before. Liu Daoba, have many brothers. Liu Daoba was ridiculed like this, and his face turned from green to purple, and he was extremely embarrassed. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the other party continue. Well, then I will report Liu Daoba and his accomplices. They want to destroy my reputation together. Why are you slandering me? Liu Daoba just wanted to intimidate Sun Badao and let him not do things so ruthlessly. But he didn't expect that he would use his words to add a new charge to him. That's enough. What are you arguing about? The staff first asked the big man next to Liu Daoba to hold him down, and then continued. The storytelling session of both parties has ended. Next, we will collect evidence from the people at the scene. Mr. Sun can go back first. As for Liu Daoba, we will temporarily detain him with special means. When the results come out, the system will push a message to you. So when Jiu said goodbye to the staff one by one, before leaving, she did not forget to take out a dumb talisman and stick it on Liu Daoba's forehead. Because the other party's mouth was so dirty, he kept cursing her for not being a man, and said that she didn't know how to keep a way out, and be careful to lose her life. But she didn't have a life in the first place. Miss, these talismans are for you. Lin Qihai sent Wen Jiu out of the door of the management department, but saw that the other party handed her a bunch of talismans. This is not appropriate. Although she said the words to refuse, there was a trace of desire in her eyes. When Jiu could naturally see the other person's expression. It's okay. If you feel embarrassed, just add my Star Network account and transfer the star coins to me later. You spent star coins to buy my talismans. This is very reasonable. No one can get it for free from her, not even the beautiful lady. Just now when Lin Qihai was in the management department, it was inconvenient to buy, but now there is no problem outside. And she is more receptive to the way of buying with star coins. If the other party really gave it to her for free, she would definitely not dare to accept it. Goodbye, little sister. When Jiu left the Star Network world and returned to reality, then turned over and got out of bed to look for something in the cabinet. She found the remaining yellow paper and cinnabar from the cabinet, and then took out the brush and inkstone, and placed them on the desk, and began to draw the talisman seriously. The bright red characters were completed in one stroke, and a little light was emitted the moment she injected spiritual power. It is recovering slowly. Wen Jiu looked at the talisman with a smile. She had felt that her spiritual power was more abundant after her superpower was upgraded, but she had never had the free time to test it. And since she awakened her superpower, a faint spiritual power has awakened. At first, she thought that her spiritual power was linked to her mental power, because when she first drew and sold talismans, she could sense the existence of that faint spiritual power. So she subconsciously thought that there was a connection between spiritual power and mental power. It was not until she was promoted to the second level of superpower some time ago that her spiritual power became much more abundant. She found that the promotion of superpowers could revive her spiritual power. As long as her spiritual power can grow and recover, she will be able to draw higher level talismans in the future, and maybe even use the method of cultivation. Wen Jiu felt excited just thinking about it, but the promotion of superpowers really took too much time. In the past, cultivation was nothing more than sitting in meditation to absorb the essence of the heaven, earth, sun, and moon. She also had an excellent talent and bone, so her cultivation level could be said to be rising rapidly. But here, the advancement of superpowers depends on talent on the one hand and continuous efforts on the other hand. And just like cultivation, the further you advance, the more you depend on chance. Sure enough, you have to practice hard, no matter where you are. Wen Jiu sighed and fell on the bed, trying to bury herself in the quilt for comfort. But she was thinking about the advancement of superpowers, so she got up again and knocked on the door of the guest room next door. Kyoshi planned to live here until the start of school, so she moved her luggage into the guest room. Although she wanted to live in the same room with Wen Jiu, who smelled sweet and soft when hugged, after careful consideration, she decided that it would be better for each of them to live separately. Shishi, what is the level of your cousin's superpowers? When Wen Jiu came in, Kyoshi was still admiring Zuanruda's new selfie, so she was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted when she heard this question. My cousin has a level 5 water superpower. She turned off the light screen panel and sat up again. Jiu, why did you suddenly think of asking this? My cousin is very powerful, but you are also very powerful. Chapter 316 Spiritual Power Resurrection 2. Wen Jiu originally wanted to learn from Uruman, but she was so busy that she didn't even have time to reply. She had to wait for half a day to get a reply after sending a message. So she thought she might as well ask Kyoshi if her cousin had taught her any secrets of advancement. However, it turned out that she was overthinking. If there was such a secret, Kyoshi would have advanced long ago, and there was no need to ponder on the edge of advancement. My cousin is still very powerful. Although there is no such thing as a secret of advancement, she taught me a lot of fighting skills. If you want to learn, I can teach you. Kyoshi paused for a moment after she finished speaking. She thought that with Wen Jiu's performance in the fighting class, she didn't need her to teach any fighting skills at all. So she continued, well, my cousin taught me the skills commonly used in the military region, which are not quite the same as those taught in the academy. But Wen Jiu was not interested in this. She just wanted to advance as soon as possible to revive her spiritual power. Shishi, thank you for your kindness. She politely declined the other party and then chatted for a while before going back to her room to rest. It seems that the road of rapid promotion is not feasible. She can only think of other ways or upgrade her supernatural powers in normal circumstances. Wen Jiu sat on the bed and stared at the newly drawn talisman in a trance. The bright cinnabar red characters were covered with a faint glow. She folded the talisman into a small triangle and placed it on the bedside table, intending to put it in her pocket and take it to the store when she got up in the daytime. She cannot use the talisman for attracting wealth and peach blossoms for herself, otherwise she would have drawn a talisman for attracting wealth and treasure for herself, and then made a lot of money and headed towards the goal of becoming the richest person in the Federation. The talisman she drew tonight happened to be a talisman for warding off evil spirits and warding off evil spirits. This kind of talisman has no restrictions on use, so she planned to take it to the store and find a place to post it. It would be a pity to draw it and not use it. As she thought about it, Wen Jiu temporarily let go of her obsession with reviving her spiritual power. She had to eat one bite at a time and walk one step at a time. Even if she tossed and turned all night over this issue, there would be no progress. So she simply buried herself in the quilt, thinking about resting early and recuperating. After all, Wen Jiu restaurant would officially open tomorrow, and she would be busy for a long time. The next morning, Wen Jiu and Kyoshi just arrived at the door of Wen Jiu restaurant and saw 2 rows of flower baskets. The flowers were delicate and blooming vigorously, and the colors were bright and matched just right, which could attract people's attention without being too high profile. Moreover, there was a banner hanging on each flower basket, and the auspicious words made Wen Jiu's mouth smile. I wish Wen Jiu restaurant a prosperous business. I wish Wen Jiu restaurant a prosperous business. I wish Wen Jiu restaurant a prosperous business. These festive blessings made Kyoshi laugh. She pulled Wen Jiu and asked curiously, who sent this? Yesterday, Zikingai proposed to hang a big red flower on the sign of Wen Jiu restaurant, but was rejected by Wen Jiu on the grounds that it would cost money, so she thought that the other party would not spend money to buy so many flower baskets. It was sent by Teacher Yu and other teachers. They are quite busy recently. They said that they would come together to show their support when they are free in 2 days. Wen Jiu walked to the flower basket and sniffed it carefully. The faint floral fragrance made her feel happier. Before they opened the shutter door of Wen Jiu restaurant, they heard Zikingai's shouting voice coming from behind. Jiu, don't be in a hurry. Zikingai got up an hour earlier and ran fast in the scenic area for a long time and then arrived at Wen Jiu restaurant before they opened the door. After he ran over, he didn't have time to catch his breath and quickly took out the things he bought from the Zigi space. This is the big red flower and red satin I bought. I saw that other stores have to hold a ribbon cutting ceremony for their opening and hang a big red flower on the sign. As he said that, he spread out the red satin and then asked Kyoshi to pull the other end up in a straight line. Let's hold a simple ribbon cutting ceremony. I'll move the ladder and hang the big red flower on the sign. Zikingai thought that Wen Jiu was not willing to spend money on these things, so he bought them himself to add a sense of ceremony. After all, it's officially opened, and there has to be a ribbon cutting ceremony, even if there is no gong or drum. Okay. Seeing that he was so obsessed with the ribbon cutting ceremony, Wen Jiu put the pet box on the ground, then took the scissors handed to him by Zikingai and clicked the silk. She cut it so suddenly that all the congratulatory words Zikingai had prepared got stuck in her throat. She could only stand there stupidly holding the red silk cut in half in her hands. Why are you still standing there? Are you going to tie the silk around your waist and do some yanko? Wen Jiu opened the door of Wen's restaurant after picking up the pet box. Then she and Kyoshi walked in together, leaving Zikingai standing alone outside the door, feeling inexplicably desolate. Don't stand outside. Come in and have breakfast. Zikingai was still feeling sad, but when she heard this, she perked up and ran in with a big smile on her face. Wen Jiu owed her breakfast. She had said before that she would make breakfast for Zikingai, but she forgot about it because she was so busy in the past 2 days. So she got up early today and made a hearty breakfast and brought it to the store. Wow, Gioji, you are so nice to me. Zikingai sat obediently at the table and saw several insulated lunch boxes filled with food on the table. You don't think you can finish it by yourself, do you? Wen Jiu took out the last insulated bucket, which contained the lava porridge she cooked slowly. In fact, Lava Festival has passed for many days, but she just remembered it recently. But it's not a big problem, you don't have to eat lava porridge on that day. Zikingai took the bowl and asked curiously, what is this? Why does it look so fancy? This is called lava porridge. Wen Jiu explained to him, while handing the bowl to Kyoshi. Both of them didn't have breakfast, just to come to the store to eat with Zikingai. Lava porridge is generally made by boiling a dozen ingredients together. Every household has its own recipe, so the lava porridge cooked out is also different. Wen Jiu carefully selected 20 kinds of ingredients to cook, so the color alone is eye-catching. To make this slab of porridge well, you must not only carefully select the ingredients to match, but also handle them well, so that the flavors of these ingredients blend and do not conflict. Then let me taste it first. Zikingai was too lazy to even use a spoon, and took a big sip from the bowl. The amazing taste made him open his eyes wide. This complex and delicious delicacy is really rare. Today's first update, please check it out. My lovely little angels 030. Chapter 317 Come in for breakfast 1. Wen Jiu carefully selected the ingredients for the slab of porridge and cooked it slowly over a long fire. Before it was ready, she chose 8 kinds of rice alone, including black rice, glutinous rice, highland barley rice, etc. And there were also several kinds of dried fruits she had selected. After cooking, the water and rice blended together, and the taste of each ingredient was also integrated into it. Zikingai was amazed by such a complex and perfect taste. The soft and sweet porridge was full of the aroma of dried fruits, and after chewing it gently, he could feel the unique taste and flavor of different ingredients. He drank the whole bowl in a gulp, and then asked in an embarrassed tone, "Sister Jiu, is there any more?" "Yes, you can add more yourself." Wen Jiu pointed to the thermos bucket, and then sat down with her bowl of laba porridge. She made sweet laba porridge this time. To be honest, she actually prefers Sichuan laba porridge, which is the kind that puts white radish cubes, dried tofu and bacon. But she was worried that Zikingai and Kaioshishi would not be able to accept that kind of taste, so she made this sweet laba porridge. However, this laba porridge cooked with dried fruits and rice grains also has a unique flavor. Peanuts and red dates bring full sweetness, and the wolfberries and raisins mixed in it are slightly sour, making this sweet laba porridge taste not sweet at all, but rich and fragrant. The layers of progressive taste are very surprising. Both Zikingai and Kaioshishi said that the taste of this laba porridge is too amazing. Moreover, a bowl of hot porridge in the slightly cold morning makes them feel comfortable and soothed by the spring. Don't just drink porridge, eat some vegetables. Wen Jiu saw that they were all drinking porridge, so he reminded them. She also made several kinds of breakfasts, thinking that they could taste how they tasted, and if there was a chance, they could promote and sell them in the store later. Hearing this, Kaioshishi decisively attacked the shrimp dumplings that she had been curious about for a long time. She had been craving for it when she watched Wen Jiu making shrimp dumplings at home, but he said he would take them to the store to eat together, so she didn't suggest that she wanted to taste them first. Now that she finally had the chance to taste them, she couldn't wait to stuff the shrimp dumplings into her mouth. The pale white dumpling skin was wrapped with pink shrimps, which looked very jelly, and the chewy and refreshing taste made Kaioshishi exclaim. She chewed the shrimp dumplings slowly. Although the dumpling skin was thin, it was very tough, and the chewing taste was not to mention how good it was. The shrimps were full and chewy with sweetness, and there were fresh bamboo shoots and pork. The combination of the 3 ingredients directly enhanced the freshness to the extreme. It was crispy, fragrant, and soft with pork. Kaioshishi ate 5 in a row before stopping, but the deliciousness of the shrimp dumpling soup still lingered on her tongue, making her want to continue to taste the shrimp dumplings. But when she saw Zikingai finishing a bun in 2 bites, she immediately became curious. She picked up a bun and looked at it. The white and plump bun had regular wrinkles on it, which looked both pleasing and cute. So she took a bite gently. The skin was thin and the filling was full. The rich gravy flowed directly into her mouth, and the rich meat aroma instantly occupied her taste buds. The fragrant and crispy bamboo shoots were full of freshness, which diluted the greasy feeling of the sauced meat filling, and added to the taste when chewing. The taste was not inferior to the shrimp dumplings she had just eaten. There is also a dipping sauce here. Wen Jiu pushed the dipping saucer in front of Kaioshishi, indicating that it would be more delicious to eat with the dipping sauce. She obediently picked up a bun and dipped it. The spicy meaty aroma was so rich that she couldn't help herself. "Kaioshishi, I'm beginning to envy you." Zikingai showed an envious look. He thought that the other party lived in Wen Jiu's house and could eat such a delicious breakfast every morning, but he could only rely on nutrient solution to get through the morning. This really made him envious and jealous. But he is a boy. If his parents knew that he went to live in Wen Jiu's house, they would definitely drag him back home and beat him up. Thinking of this, he sped up his eating speed. After all, he was not Kaioshishi, and he could not eat such a delicious breakfast every day. In addition to the small buns and shrimp dumplings, Wen Jiu also made potato cakes. Cut the carrots and potatoes into thin strips and mix them. Then add egg liquid and flour to mix and season them, and then fry them in a frying pan to make round and fragrant potato cakes. Although this potato cake does not contain any meat, it is full of fresh and salty fragrance. It is crispy and delicious when you bite it, and you can also taste the fragrance of chopped green onions. Dipping it in vinegar can also relieve greasiness and enhance the fragrance. After a breakfast, Zikingayu and Kaioshishi were like fully charged robots, full of energy and vitality. Without Wen Jiu's instructions, they took the initiative to do the cleaning and preparation work. Is Miss Wen here? We are here to deliver the goods. The three of them were preparing ingredients in the kitchen when they heard shouts from outside. Wen Jiu put down the things in her hands and took off her gloves, then went outside to sign for the 100 kilograms of crayfish she bought. Are you two still afraid of this Procambarus clarkii? She asked the delivery staff to move the box into the backyard, and then thought about how to coax the two children to help her wash the shrimp. This is 100 kilograms of crayfish. If she washes it by herself, she doesn't know how long it will take to wash it. Zikingayu has a childhood trauma about Procambarus clarkii, but Kaioshishi is a little better. She is just a little scared. Anyway, she must pull someone to wash the shrimp with her. I'm not afraid. The two shouted together, then looked at each other with disdain, and turned their heads away at the same time with disgust. Kaioshishi, you just stay in the kitchen and continue to process the ingredients. Why are you competing with me for work? Zikingayu, haven't you been pinched by Procambarus clarkii? Don't try to save face just to earn some performance. Although they both folded their arms and turned their heads away from each other, they were still muttering to each other. Seeing that both of them were very active, Wen Jiu simply used the method of selecting soldiers and generals, and successfully selected Kaioshishi to go with him to wash shrimps. She had already marinated the meat for lunch, and even made the sweet potato powder, and put it next to it. Only some vegetables needed to be shredded, so going to the backyard to wash shrimps would not affect the preparation progress of the ingredients. However, it is estimated that it would take more than 100 kilograms of crayfish to be washed in one morning, so she only moved out 50 kilograms, and then put the remaining 50 kilograms in a cool place. Because the boxes used by the management department to transport crayfish are specially made, there is plenty of water and small holes for ventilation, so the crayfish will not die if they are left there for a short time. Wen Jiu and Kaioshishi both moved a small stool over, then poured the crayfish into a large basin, washed them one by one with a toothbrush, and then put them in another large basin to wait for subsequent processing. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you again to the little angels for their support and love. 030. Thank you to every little angel who voted, rewarded, and followed the update. Thank you! 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318. Who doesn't like crayfish? 1. Brother Deng, all the crayfish that were caught yesterday have been sent away. While listening to the delivery man's report, Deng Ning recorded the ordering of crayfish. As in previous years, the supermarket in the slums ordered a lot of crayfish. Apart from that, only the owner of Wen's restaurant ordered one. Even though he tried his best to sell it several times, not many people were willing to buy 2 kilograms of shrimp. He also understood that people were reluctant to buy crayfish. After all, this thing was difficult to cook and tasted bad. In the past, Wang's restaurant would buy it back and try to cook it, but no one bought it. Since then, no one would buy crayfish. Only people in the slums would buy it. Because the production of this shrimp is large and the price is low, many poor people would buy it back to eat. Alas, when Deng Ning thought that the crayfish that could not be sold had to be disposed of, he began to sigh. It's not that he has much pity for these shrimps, but because it costs a lot of star coins to process them. Every time the leader would pull him to have a long talk about this, he said that the budget of the scenic spot was not much, and he hoped that he could try to sell more Procambarus clarkii and try to reduce the processing so as not to waste too many star coins on this matter. But he really couldn't do it. No one was willing to be a sucker. Brother Deng, what are you going to eat for lunch? Wu Minimum saw that he was dejected and knew that he was worried about the Procambarus clarkii again, so she thought about diverting his attention. What else can I eat? I'm going to eat dirt soon. Deng Ning sighed deeply. He wanted to go back to the office to continue thinking hard about how to deal with the Procambarus clarkii this time, but he was pulled by the other party to talk about the recent gossip in the commercial district. Why don't you go to Wen Jiu restaurant with us for lunch? It's the newly opened restaurant. I heard that a young mother rented it, but her 3 children are running the restaurant. Deng Ning didn't really like to listen to these business district gossips. He was thinking about how to refuse to leave, but when he heard the words Wen Jiu restaurant, he suddenly became interested and listened. Wu Minimum rarely saw that the other party was willing to stay and listen to gossip, so she quickly added a few words. Isn't it very interesting? Jiajia went there for a meal last night, and when she came back, she recommended it to us crazily, saying that the 2 children who served as waiters were very cute, and the food was also very fragrant and delicious. What do you think, Brother Deng? You should consider it. Jiajia and Moni are going. After hearing this, Deng Ning realized that Wen Jiu restaurant was run by 3 children. He didn't want to go at first because he knew very well that there were no good restaurants in the business district, so every day when he came to work, he would bring his own food or take a few nutrient solutions. But when he heard that it was actually a child who was running the business, he felt a little pity and agreed to go to Wen Jiu restaurant with Wu Minimum at noon. At this time, he completely forgot what he thought yesterday. At that time, he thought that Wen Jiu was so young to be a boss, and his family must be very rich. However, now he just felt that the 3 children were really pitiful. It must be very difficult to start a business at such a young age. Wow, there are so many people. I told you to leave early. There are really many people coming to Wen Jiu restaurant to eat. Wu Minimum and Li Jiajia walked in front hand in hand, while Dunning and Moni Granger walked side by side at the end. There was a long line in front of the Wen Jiu restaurant. The business was so hot that it was far beyond their imagination. Welcome madam and gentlemen. Please wait a moment. Here is your number plate. The little girl standing at the door to greet the guests was exactly as Li Jiajia described, cute and well behaved, and spoke nicely, making it impossible for people to refuse her gesture of handing over the number plate. The 4 of them walked to the end of the line and waited for their numbers to be called, and they all received the legendary free sour plum soup. The color of this sour plum soup is so beautiful, just like the pomegranate ruby sold by Liu Sanji. Wu Minimum really liked this color, but unfortunately the pomegranate ruby was expensive, and she was not rich enough to buy it casually. Really? And it tastes especially good. Li Jiajia picked up the paper cup and took a big sip, and then showed a very satisfied expression. Seeing this, Wu Minimum couldn't help but curiously hold the paper cup and take a sip. The sour and sweet taste spread on her tongue. The smooth and cool taste made her feel refreshed. She drank a large cup of sour plum soup in one gulp. This slightly cool sour, sweet and refreshing taste was really addictive. In addition to her, Moni Granger also finished the whole cup of sour plum soup very generously. The 2 of them sighed with satisfaction at the same time, leaving only Dunning still holding the paper cup in a daze. Let's go, we can get some more sour plum soup over there. Under Li Jiajia's lead, they all went to get a full cup of sour plum soup. Because there was a constant stream of customers coming to Wen Jiu restaurant, they lined up for a long time before they got their turn. When they came back, their number was called. The 3 of them were ready to go into the restaurant, but they saw Deng Ning still standing outside in a daze, with the sour plum soup in his hand not reduced at all. Brother Deng, why are you standing there like an idiot? Li Jiajia walked over and dragged him in, then pressed him down to his seat. After pressing him down to his seat, the 3 of them began to discuss what to eat. But Deng Ning was still in a trance, so Wu Minimum couldn't help but approach him and asked, Brother Deng, if you don't want to eat, you can leave. We won't force you. Hearing this, Deng came back to his senses and waved his hands vigorously. No, I don't want to eat. He was just thinking about why everyone was eating Procambarus clarkii. When he was standing outside just now, he saw the guest sitting inside pick up a crayfish and peel it, eating it happily and contentedly. At first, he thought he had seen it wrong. You know, the taste of crayfish is so hard to swallow that it is considered good if people don't wear a mask of pain. How could anyone show such an expression? But after his careful observation, he found that the guest was really eating crayfish, and he was eating it very happily. It can be said that he peeled one in a few seconds for fear of not eating enough. The most important thing is that he found that more than one guest was eating shrimp happily, and many guests in the store were slowly peeling shrimps and tasting shrimps. This made him doubt the taste of crayfish. Could it be that the shrimps salvaged this time have mutated, so the taste is different from that of previous years? But he quickly put this idea behind him, because he was shocked by the pot of crayfish served by the waiter. Today's third update has also been successfully delivered. Hehe. There will be a burst of updates during the spring festival. Little angels, remember to follow up 030. Chapter 319. Who doesn't like crayfish too? Dunning had never seen such red and juicy crayfish. If he hadn't been in charge of handling these shrimps for many years, he would have found it difficult to recognize that the shrimps in this basin were actually crayfish. Each shrimp was as red as a red lantern, with a layer of snow white garlic on it, and a few green onions dotted in between, which made people's appetites grow. This is a new product. I didn't see it when I came yesterday. Lee Jiajia distributed a pair of gloves to everyone according to the instructions on the electronic menu. It looks delicious, but I don't know how it tastes. I saw other customers ordered some, and they were enjoying it. It shouldn't taste bad. Wu Minimum put on the gloves, then picked up a crayfish, and wanted to peel it, but the crayfish was still very hot, so she had to put the crayfish into the bowl first. Seeing this scene, Moni Granger, who was about to start eating, put down her hand honestly. Do you think this shrimp looks familiar? Really? Lee Jiajia was a new employee who had just joined the company some time ago. She didn't know what Procambarus clarkii looked like. After saying that, she picked up a spicy crayfish, blew it to cool it down, and then she followed the instructions to forcefully break the head of the crayfish. As soon as the red crayfish was broken open, the yellow shrimp roe immediately flowed down. Lee Jiajia quickly picked it up and took a sip. The shrimp roe that melted in her mouth exuded an extremely delicious taste in her mouth, which made her eyes widen and show a shocked expression. Then she quickly peeled the shrimp shell and swallowed the tender white shrimp meat in one gulp. The spicy and spicy soup burst with the shrimp meat. The spiciness of the chili and the sweetness of the shrimp meat were perfectly combined. She had never eaten such delicious shrimp before. Wu Minimum watched Lee Jiajia peeling and eating shrimp non-stop, and even the corners of her mouth were red from the spiciness. The other's eyes were still filled with tears from the spiciness, but she was still peeling the shrimp shells. So she also picked up the garlic crayfish and gently broke it open. First, the delicious shrimp roe was so fresh that she wanted to swallow her tongue, and then the chewy and delicious shrimp meat with a strong garlic aroma bloomed on the tip of her tongue, making her feel like she was wandering in a sea of garlic. Seeing that the two girls were feasting on the food, Moni Granger next to them couldn't help but pull Dunning's sleeve. Brother Deng, what are you still standing there for? Look, the two of them are almost finished eating the shrimp. Dunning was staring at the pot of garlic crayfish just now, but he didn't think about eating it. He was just wondering if this shrimp was really the Procambarus clarkii he knew. Now that Moni Granger pulled him like this, he put on his gloves and took a garlic crayfish with hesitation. The hot soup was filled with a strong garlic aroma. The salty and fresh taste of the soup and the spicy taste of the garlic paste were perfectly integrated, successfully occupying every inch of his senses, and the refreshing and sweet shrimp meat kept jumping between his lips and teeth, as if showing its freshness and firmness. The shrimp meat was not only elastic and firm, but also very full. Every time it was chewed, the juice burst out, and the most fresh and sweet taste bloomed on the tip of his tongue. It can be said that this was the best and freshest shrimp he had eaten in more than 20 years. However, Dunning did not realize that the shrimp was really the Procambarus clarkii he sent, and it was because of the excellent water quality of Dunghill Lake that such delicious Procambarus clarkii could be raised, which was completely different from those wild or artificially cultivated ones outside. He found that there was a plate of dipping sauce next to him when he ate it, so he peeled a spicy crayfish and wrapped it in it. The salty and sour dipping sauce matched the spicy and fragrant shrimp meat, and it tasted like a different flavor. It was both refreshing and salty and fragrant, making people want to eat more. But he was too slow to grab the crayfish and couldn't get the other 3 people's attention. He had only eaten 5 or 6 crayfish when he saw that the 2 large bowls were already empty. "Have you had enough? Do you want another serving?" Lee Jiajia asked first. She licked her lips with relish, as if she was savoring how delicious the crayfish was. "I want another serving of spicy crayfish. The spiciness is so addictive." Wu Minimum took off his gloves and took a big sip of sour plum soup. The cool, sour, and sweet taste successfully alleviated the spiciness brought by the crayfish. Even Moni Granger, who doesn't like spicy food, agreed, but he wanted to eat garlic crayfish because it didn't taste that spicy, and the unique garlic aroma hit him perfectly. Only Dengning hadn't answered yet. Just when the others thought he didn't like crayfish, he suddenly said loudly, "I suggest you order a double portion of spicy and a double portion of garlic. You guys are eating too fast, and I can't grab them." The other 3 laughed at this. They thought Dengning didn't like crayfish because when everyone was rushing to eat, he was the only one who was slowly peeling and tasting the shrimp. So they were all ready to order other dishes for Dengning, but they didn't expect that he would ask for a double portion. So Lee Jiajia opened the light screen panel and wanted to order another double portion of crayfish to continue enjoying it, but the 3 words "sold out" on the panel successfully sent her to hell. "The crayfish is sold out. We can only order other dishes." Wu Minimum became depressed when she heard her words. If she had known, she would have rushed to eat faster and shouldn't have let him go just to give in to Dengning. She felt that, although the other party ate very slowly, his expression didn't look like he didn't like it at all, so she deliberately slowed down a bit. She regretted it now. Why did she slow down? Crayfish is much more delicious than men. What's the use of love? The most important thing is to eat crayfish. I ordered 2 servings of egg fried rice and 2 bowls of hot and sour noodles, and then 1 serving each of fish flavored pork shreds and sweet and sour cabbage. Lee Jiajia saw that others were dejected because there were no crayfish, so she made her own decision and ordered a bunch of dishes. Among them, egg fried rice and sweet and sour cabbage were what she had eaten yesterday. The soft and fragrant fried rice paired with the sweet and sour cabbage made her eat happily. "I don't know if the other dishes are delicious." Moni Granger sat in her seat with a gloomy face. "Jiajia, don't lie to us. Some people are worried about the taste of other dishes with gloomy faces now, and when the dishes are served, their faces change instantly." "Who made this fish flavored pork shreds?" "The shredded pork is tender and smooth without any fishy smell. It tastes fragrant and tender." "Wow, this hot and sour rice noodle is even more delicious than the spicy crayfish just now. It's sour, spicy, and has a strong meaty aroma. I feel so happy that I can eat so many delicious meals." Only Moni Granger could spare the time to exclaim. The other 3 people were busy eating and didn't even have time to talk. "Today's first update has been perfectly delivered. Please check it. Little Angels 030. Chapter 320. You don't know about the Spring Festival 1. Good afternoon, Brother Deng. I want to order more crayfish." Wen Jiu was making snowflake crisps while talking on the phone. The 50 kilograms of crayfish for lunch were sold out in a short while. The popularity far exceeded her expectations. Moreover, she found that many people did not recognize that it was crayfish. Even Sister Chen came to the kitchen after eating to ask where she bought such fresh shrimps with such good meat. When she said that the shrimp was crayfish, Sister Chen smiled confidently and said it was impossible. She also said that she could understand that she was unwilling to tell the source of the supply. After all, you have to have some secret recipes to do business. "Yes, I want to order 200 kilograms of crayfish every day." Dengning was confused when he heard this. He thought that Wen Jiu would not come again after buying 100 kilograms, but he did not expect that the other party would not only say that he would continue to order, but also increase the order quantity. So he asked the question in his mind, so the crayfish sold at Wen Jiu restaurant at noon is the Procambarus clarkii? Yes, brother Deng, have you come to eat? Such an affirmative answer made Dunning very happy. He was thinking whether the Procambarus clarkii this year had mutated, so the taste was much better than in previous years. After hanging up the phone, in order to verify his idea, he took out a pound of shrimp from the warehouse and then went to the simple kitchen of the management department to boil a plate of Procambarus clarkii with water. The Procambarus clarkii boiled in water also had a red luster, which boosted Dunning's confidence a lot. He waited until it was slightly cooler before picking up a shrimp and slowly peeling it open. The snow white and pink shrimp meat was indeed sweet in his mouth, but it was followed by a bitter and salty taste. Dunning spit out the shrimp meat with a wow, and the taste was no different from the shrimp in previous years. This is enough to show that the crayfish has not changed at all. But how did Wen Jiu restaurant make the crayfish so delicious? This question is actually easy to answer. The original crayfish is also delicious when boiled in water, but Dunning, like everyone else, doesn't know how to deal with the crayfish. Although the water of East Lake is clear and free of impurities, the crayfish that have been salvaged still needs to be washed. Not only did he not wash the mud and sand of the crayfish, he also put a lot of salt and MSG into the water for boiling the shrimp, so the crayfish he made was naturally difficult to swallow. Frustrated, he could only pour out the plate of crayfish and then walked bitterly to the warehouse to prepare to receive the newly salvaged fresh shrimp. At this time, on the other side, Wen Jiu's sweet potato starch was finally dried. She and Zikingayu ground these small pieces into fine powder. After several times of fine drying and grinding, these sweet potato starch can be used to make sweet potato flour. After this step, she can do the rest by herself, so she asked Zikingayu to go back to the kitchen to slowly process the ingredients. Jiug, the spring festival is coming soon. Do you want to buy some decorations? There should be a festive atmosphere for the festival. Zikingayu's voice suddenly came, and Wen Jiu, who was making sweet potato noodles, was stunned. Isn't it the beginning of spring? Why is the other party talking about the spring festival? She suddenly remembered what she saw on Xingbo and the college forum before. Everyone said that they hoped to finish the final exams quickly, so that they could have a holiday for the spring festival. But she only wanted to make some glutinous rice balls and dumplings at that time. She didn't look closely at the difference between the spring festival here and the modern spring festival, and she didn't know when the spring festival would be celebrated. When is the spring festival? She raised her voice so that Zikingayu could hear it. After all, the kitchen was some distance away from the backyard, and there was a small warehouse in between. Zikingayu was happy when he heard this. He was the one who loved to celebrate festivals the most. So he immediately answered loudly, "There are 3 days left before the spring festival. Sister Jiu, why don't you care about the festival? The spring festival is the most important festival of the year, representing the arrival of spring and the start of a new year. How could Wen Jiu not care about the spring festival?" In modern times, she loved the spring festival the most. But at that time, she was carefree and didn't have to worry about whether she would have to sleep in the open air. She just needed to practice diligently and have fun. But later she was in this strange world, thinking about how to get money every day, for fear that she would return to the days of living in abandoned buses and picking up garbage for a living. How could she have the mind to think about the festival? Sister Jiu, why don't you talk? Zikingayu ran to the backyard holding a carrot. You don't know what the spring festival is, do you? He suddenly thought of Wen Jiu's orphan status. The other party might not have celebrated the spring festival and might not even know what the spring festival is. Therefore, he hurried to the backyard and explained to Wen Jiu that the spring festival is to celebrate the arrival of spring and the start of the new year. Every time during the spring festival, everyone would post couplets and blessing characters, and would also cook a large table of dishes to celebrate the reunion with their families. I know what the spring festival is, you don't need to explain it anymore. Wen Jiu felt a headache listening to his muttering. I'll go buy some red paper and write couplets myself. Do you want to take 2 pairs back? Her handwriting must be better than the one sold outside. Not to mention that Zikingayu had seen her handwriting and immediately nodded frantically to indicate that she needed it. Then you, forget it. You continue to be busy. Remember to help me send the express delivery. Wen Jiu originally wanted to ask Zikingayu to ask Kaioshishi if she needed to take 2 pairs of couplets back to post at home, but she thought that the other party would live with her until school started and most likely would not go home for the spring festival. So she changed the subject and didn't mention Kaioshishi's sad story. Zikingayu didn't think too much and happily left the backyard and returned to the kitchen and didn't forget to show off to Kaioshishi that Wen Jiu was going to give her 2 pairs of couplets. That was written by Jiu herself. Although I have never seen her write calligraphy, the words she wrote with a ballpoint pen are so beautiful. I believe that the words she wrote with a brush must be even more beautiful. He showed off for a long time, but did not see Kaioshishi showing envy, so he asked curiously, why don't you make a fuss and say that you want one to this time? That was written by Jiu herself. I stayed at Jiu's house during the spring festival. Not only did I have the couplets written by her, but I could also eat the reunion dinner she made by herself. Who would show off a little thing like you? Kaioshishi glanced at him with disdain. She was no longer the Kaioshishi who needed to compete for favor. She was now the Kaioshishi who lived in Wen Jiu's house and could get the moon first because of the proximity to the water. After hearing her words, Zikingayu realized that she was the most pitiful one. His face fell instantly and his eyes were tearful. Do you think it's too late for me to move to Jiu's house now? Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support of every cute little angel. 030. Chapter 321. You don't know about the spring festival too. Kaioshishi showed a look of disdain when she heard this. She sneered and said, give up on this idea. There are only 2 rooms in the house and there is no place for you to live. Besides, you are a boy. How can you live with a girl casually? The despised Zikingayu fell into depression again. It was not until Wen Jiu returned to the kitchen from the backyard that he recovered a little. Sister Jiu, can I move to your house? I can pay the rent. As soon as he finished speaking, he was cruelly rejected by Wen Jiu. No, you are not homeless. Wen Jiu put the prepared sweet potato noodles in the shade, but if you want, you can come to my house for a reunion dinner. When Zikingayu heard this, he was very happy, but he soon returned to his sadness and said, I can't go. If my parents knew that I didn't go home for the reunion dinner, they would definitely beat me up. After he finished speaking, he realized that even he couldn't sneak to Wen Jiu's house for a reunion dinner. So how did Kaioshishi convince her parents to let her live in Wen Jiu's house and not even go home for the spring festival? So he came to Kaioshishi and asked curiously, beautiful Shishi, can you teach me how to convince my parents? I will also go to Jiu's house for a reunion dinner. As a result, the other party just coldly said that she didn't convince her parents, but had a falling out with them. Zikingayu couldn't help but widen his eyes when he heard this. He didn't expect that Kaioshishi had a falling out with her parents, so she lived in Wen Jiu's house and didn't even go back for the spring festival. But he didn't know the specific situation, so he shut up and didn't say anything more. Zikingayu, forget about you not being able to come to my place for dinner during the spring festival. I'll make some candies for you to take back tomorrow. Although Wen Jiu usually shows that he dislikes Zikingayu and often confronts and bullies him, it doesn't mean that she really dislikes him. Zikingayu is usually arrogant, conceited, and nagging. Like his brother, he is spoiled by his family, but his nature is not bad, and he is even quite friendly and kind. Moreover, when he was in Dainui Forest before, he carried Wen Jiu on his back to escape and save Kaioshishi, which is enough to show that he regards the two of them as true friends. Really, Sister Jiu? What candy? I love pumpkin candy. Zikingayu gets excited when talking about candy because he really likes candy. Let me think about it. I see you like snowflake crisps. You can take them back when the time comes. Wen Jiu hadn't decided what kind of candy to make. The candies she used to eat during the spring festival were all made by her senior sisters. Those candies were varied and had their own flavors. Anyway, when she was in the master's sect, she was a group favorite and didn't need to do anything by herself. It was not like now that she needed to be self-reliant. When she couldn't sleep late at night and thought about her life, she would wonder if God saw that she was living too comfortably in the modern world and sent her here to experience the difficulty of hell. But it wasn't really hell. Now she worked hard to make money to buy a house and opened her own store. She also gained 2 new true friends and people like you Ruman who silently cared about her behind the scenes. In short, everything was moving in a good direction. Every time she thought of this, she felt full of energy again. Why don't I make some egg tarts and nougat? Wen Jiu suddenly had an idea. The nougat could be taken back and kept for a while so that Zikingayu and his family could eat it as a snack. As for the egg tarts, they could be taken back and slightly heated up as dessert after dinner. Okay. Zikingayu didn't even know what egg tarts and nougat were, but he knew that as long as Wen Jiu made them, they would be delicious. Then, while thinking about the menu for the reunion dinner, Wen Jiu continued to prepare the ingredients for the evening business. At night, there were more customers coming to Wen Jiu restaurant than at noon. Some wanted to come back after lunch, and some came to join in the fun after seeing so many people queuing up. In short, the crowded scene made Kaio Xiaoli open her beautiful eyes wide, and just when she was stunned, she was pulled by her good friend Tong Ying. It's this Wen Jiu restaurant. Are you sure it's here? This store looks small and shabby. Why would my cousin come here to work as a waitress? Kaio Xiaoli frowned with disgust, and there was a grand opening flower basket at the door of this store, which showed that it was a newly opened restaurant. A few days ago, she heard Tong Ying telling her gossip, saying that her cousin went to a scenic spot restaurant to work as a waitress. This news shocked her beyond belief. Although she knew that Kaio Shishi had a falling out with Kaio's father and mother and ran away from home, she never expected that she would fall to such a state. Although the Zhao Kaio family is not as wealthy and prominent as the Dakao family, they are cousins anyway. Moreover, the Zhao Kaio family has a lot of businesses of its own and can be considered to be somewhat famous in the circle. Kaio Xiaoli is the spoiled little daughter of the Dakao family. She couldn't imagine herself falling to being a waitress after running away from home. It's here. I saw the photos sent by my sister and asked her. Tong Ying looked around for Kaio Shishi's figure. Xiaoli, look, is that your cousin? Kaio Xiaoli looked in the direction she pointed and saw the familiar figure. The other party was not wearing a gorgeous princess dress for the banquet. She only wore a lotus pink sweater with sky blue jeans. Her dark and thick long hair was casually tied into a high ponytail and swung behind her head. Even with such a simple dress, Kaio Shishi's pure and lovely delicate face can be revealed. Moreover, such a casual dress makes her look even more beautiful and charming. Kaio Xiaoli used to envy and be jealous of her face the most. The adults always praised Kaio Shishi for her good looks and said that she would definitely be able to find an excellent husband in the future. At that time, she kept thinking that she was beautiful just because she dressed well, but now she found that she was still beautiful even without dressing up. That's her. Kaio Xiaoli saw Kaio Shishi holding a tray and handing out drinks to people. Those who received the drinks seemed to be fascinated by her and walked to the end of the line with a smile on their faces like a blooming flower. Then let's get 2 drinks too. Tong Ying and her were close friends, so she naturally knew what she was thinking. So she pulled Kaio Xiaoli and walked towards Kaio Shishi. Do you think your cousin will feel embarrassed when she sees you? I don't know, maybe. Kaio Xiaoli hoped that this would happen because she really hated this cousin. Kaio Shishi had just put the paper cups on the tray and was about to pick up the kettle to add sour plum soup. When she looked up, she saw a familiar person. Sister Shishi, long time no see. Why are you working as a waitress here? Kaio Xiaoli said this in a very sarcastic tone. However, Kaio Shishi did not show any dissatisfaction. Her eyes were curved like crescents, and she said in a sweet voice, "Welcome, Sister Xiaoli. Since you are here to eat, I will give you a discount. How about 200% off?" Today's third update has also been delivered by the little author. Thanks again to every little angel for their support. 030. Chapter 322 Two Little Friends 1. After staying with Wen Jiu for a long time, Kyoshi has learned a lot of skills to irritate people. She and Kyoshi have been at odds for a long time, but it was mainly the other party who provokes her unilaterally. For example, at the banquet, she compared the gorgeousness of her skirt with hers, and whose jewelry was more expensive and rare. In short, she loved to make comparisons that she couldn't understand. Kyoshi was so angry that her eyes widened, but she quickly regained her gentle and sweet smile. Then please take us to our seats, Sister Shishi. I will enjoy the food in the restaurant. After all, our family is better than yours. Oh, we are relatives. It's not good to say too much. Her skills in being weird are far inferior to those of Zikingayu, so Kyoshi only responded with her kind smile. Take a number plate and go to the back to queue up, and you will be called when it's your turn. Kyoshi has never been to a restaurant that requires waiting. Every time she goes out to eat, she makes a reservation in advance. At the very least, she will report the name of the Kyo family when she arrives, and the other party will make room for her to sit down. She had never encountered or done such a degrading thing as standing outside waiting for her number to be called. Sister Shishi, you are not going to embarrass us, are you? Tongying frowned and looked at Kyoshi. Xiaoli is your cousin. What's the point of making things difficult for us? Kyoshi wanted to roll her eyes after hearing this, so she deliberately raised her voice and said, even if you are my relatives, you still have to queue up for dinner. How can you think of cutting in line? And there are so many customers waiting in line outside. As soon as she finished speaking, the customers who were waiting in line cast their eyes over. Some people with straightforward personalities even started to confront her. Little girl, don't think about getting special treatment to cut in line. Everyone is lining up here obediently. That's right. If everyone tries to get special treatment like you, then we strangers who have nothing to do with the store clerk will have to wait in line until late at night and still not get a hot meal. I've been watching those two girls for a long time. Others just took the sour plum soup and the number plate and left, but they kept pestering the pretty sister to chat. It turns out that they wanted to cut in line by relying on their relatives. More and more people came to Kyoshi's defense and accused Kyoshi and Tongying. They had never encountered such a situation before, and their faces were immediately red with shame like apples. Go ahead, line up and I'll call you when it's your turn. Kyoshi handed over the number plate with a smile, but Kyoshi threw her hand away and left angrily, leaving Tongying standing there awkwardly, at a loss. She brought Kyoshi here today on the one hand to read gossip, and on the other hand, because she heard from her sister that the food at Wen Jiu restaurant was particularly delicious, so she wanted to have a meal here to see if what her sister said was true. But Kyoshi just ran away, and she didn't know whether to chase her or not. After thinking about it, she felt that catching up with her good friend was the most important thing, so she took the paper cup and chased Kyoshi. I'm so angry. She has now fallen to the point of working as a waitress for a living, and she dares to be sarcastic to me. She just relies on that pretty face. If she looked more ordinary, there wouldn't be so many passers-by speaking up for her. Kyoshi stood under the tree and complained crazily. She felt that she shouldn't have come. Although she was jealous of the other person's beauty and hated that the other person was the focus wherever he went. Even though her status was more prominent, whenever they stood together, everyone would only praise Kyoshi. But she still had some thoughts. After all, they were sisters who grew up together. It was impossible to say that she didn't have a little sympathy. Hey, Xiaoli, don't be angry. Tongying finally caught up with the fast-walking young lady. Your cousin has fallen to this point now, so don't bother with her. And my mother said that it is very dangerous for a beautiful girl to be alone outside. She might encounter. Shut up. You will be in danger. Before Tongying finished her words, Kyoshi immediately refuted her words. Tongying decisively shut up and stopped talking. She was a little thirsty after walking for so long, so she took a sip of sour plum soup from a paper cup to moisten her throat. The cool sour plum soup flowed into her mouth, moistening her throat as she swallowed, soothing her dry mouth and uncomfortable feeling. The sour and sweet taste was just right, and this unique taste of sour and sweet made Tong Aing unable to stop at all. I didn't mean to speak for her. I just thought that, since she went to study at a military academy, she must have some means to protect herself, so that she wouldn't be bullied by bad guys. Forget it, let's not talk about her. I get angry when I think of her. Let's go to Fanhua Pavilion to buy milk tea. I heard that a new caramel milk tea is especially delicious. Kao Xiaoli found that after she finished speaking, Tong Aing was still staring at the paper cup in a daze. She thought that the other party had nothing to say because the sour plum soup was so unpalatable, so she thought that she would buy milk tea for her this time. After all, the other party drank the sour plum soup handed over by her cousin. As a result, just when she was about to say that she would buy milk tea at Fanhua Pavilion, she heard Tong Aing shouting, "This sour plum soup is too delicious. Sorry, Xiaoli, I have to leave. I have to go back to Wen Jiu restaurant to queue up." After Tong Aing finished speaking, she left Kao Xiaoli behind and ran towards the direction of Wen Jiu restaurant. Kao Xiaoli stood there in a daze at this scene. She didn't expect that her good friend would abandon her. What exactly is that sour plum soup? Are there any special ingredients added? This question also lingered in Tong Aing's mind. She walked to Kao Shishi awkwardly and softened her voice and shouted, "Sister Shishi, can you give me another cup of sour plum soup?" Kao Shishi didn't expect that she would come back, but she still smiled and pointed to the kettle next to her. "You can add it yourself here. Do you need a number card to wait for receipt?" Tong Aing nodded her head fiercely when she heard this. She thought that she would hate her for not letting her queue up, but she didn't expect Kao Shishi to be so kind. Not only did she let her add new sour plum soup, but she also took her number card and took her to the end of the line. The balance in her heart has silently leaned towards Kao Shishi. After all, she is good looking and speaks well, and she doesn't lose her temper like Kao Xiaoli. Moreover, although Kao Shishi is working as a waiter, she has a very good attitude and always smiles at people. Anyone who sees her will feel happy and willing to stand in this long line to wait for a seat. Tong Aing savored the sweet taste of sour plum soup while secretly observing the other person's every move. After her careful observation, she came to a conclusion. She seemed to like Kao Shishi. After all, who doesn't like a pretty and cute little sister? The first update of today has been successfully delivered. Thank you little angels for your support and love 030. Chapter 323 Two Little Friends 2. When Kao Xiaoli reluctantly chased to Wen Jiu restaurant, she happened to call Tong Aing's number plate. So she ran over, grabbed her and asked loudly, "Are you leaving me just for a meal? What kind of magic potion did Kao Shishi give you?" Tong Aing wanted to say that she was not given the magic potion and she drank it voluntarily, but before she could open her mouth, Kao Shishi helped her say, "Ying, go in and sit down to order food first. If you have anything, wait until you fill your stomach before you talk." So Tong Aing walked into the restaurant happily, leaving Kao Xiaoli standing there, feeling ashamed and embarrassed. "Are you going in with your friend? I saw her running back just now, so I guessed that you would come back with her. So I counted the seats for her as 2 people. Kao Shishi looked at Kao Xiaoli calmly. Although she was only 1 year older than her, she was much more mature in comparison. After all, Kao Xiaoli was still spoiled, and her parents had successfully instilled the idea that girls should be well behaved and cute. I don't know how the other party, who obviously has such an outstanding sister, has become so spoiled and willful now. I won't eat it. Kao Xiaoli did not follow her down the stairs and turned her head with a muffled groan, pretending that she didn't want to pay attention to her. Seeing the other party's appearance, Kao Shishi was not a person who liked to show her affection for others. So she ignored Kao Xiaoli and just told her not to stand at the door and block the way if she didn't want to eat. Humph. Kao Xiaoli wanted to leave but felt embarrassed. Finally, after struggling for a long time, she walked into Wen Jiu restaurant and sat down. "Xiaoli, look at what you want to eat." Tong Aing naturally hoped that the other party would eat with her. "I ordered a portion of garlic crayfish. It happened to be the last one." Kao Xiaoli's face became even worse when she heard this. She didn't expect that her friend would not only not help her, but also stand on Kyoshishi's side. I won't eat this kind of thing. Aren't you afraid of diarrhea after eating it? Kyosayali sat in her seat with her arms folded, and the disgust on her face couldn't be more obvious. Tongyang didn't say anything more, just silently held the paper cup and continued to drink the sour plum soup. She has fallen in love with sour plum soup now, and she has also coaxed Kyosayali, so it doesn't matter to her how the other party is angry now. Not long after, a waiter brought her the garlic crayfish she ordered. This is the garlic crayfish you ordered. The eating guide is in the electronic menu. Scan the code and click the icon of garlic crayfish to check it. Tongyang heard this gentle and crisp voice and couldn't help but look up to see what the waiter looked like. But he lowered his head and was concentrating on serving the dishes. His scattered brown bangs covered his eyebrows a little, but from his straight nose and rosy lips, it can be seen that this person's appearance must not be bad. Sure enough, when the waiter stood up, the incandescent light shone on him, as if he was coated with a layer of light, and his clear and bright eyes like obsidian were smiling lightly. Tongyang felt like she was falling in love again. In just 1 hour, she fell in love 3 times in Wen Jiu restaurant. The first time was with the delicious sour plum soup, and the second time was with the gentle and lovely Kyoshishi. Little brother, you. Before she finished her words, the other party turned around and ran back to the kitchen to continue working. Seeing her being infatuated again, Kyosayali sneered and said, "Ying, why are you infatuated again? I'm afraid you are really prone to falling in love. Look at yourself before you talk about me, you princess." Although Tongyang always regarded the other party as her good friend, she couldn't stand being ridiculed like this. After she finished speaking, she picked up her gloves and put them on, then took one out of the red crayfish. The shrimp head was covered with tender white garlic, which dripped into the bowl as she broke the shrimp head. After the crayfish was broken open, a lot of yellow shrimp roe flowed out, and she quickly stuffed the crayfish into her mouth and sucked it. The shrimp roe was sweet and delicious with the spicy fragrance of garlic. She had never eaten such delicious food. Then she gently broke open the remaining shrimp shells and rolled the white and pink shrimp meat in the dipping sauce. The salty and sour dipping sauce wrapped around the delicious shrimp meat, alleviating the heavy taste of the crayfish itself, and brought a refreshing spicy taste to her tongue. Millimeters. It's delicious. Tongyang couldn't help but sighed. She didn't expect to eat such delicious food here. Seeing that she didn't look fake, Kyosayali swallowed her saliva and pretended to reach out her hand unintentionally. Before she could get the crayfish, her hand was patted by Tongyang. "Miss, didn't you say you didn't want to eat it?" Tongyang was sucking the crayfish's roe in her mouth again. The delicious taste made her really unable to extricate herself. "I didn't eat it either. Can't I take one to study it?" Kyosayali's ears turned pink after being caught. "I don't want to eat it. I just want to study it." Yeah. Then you have to wear gloves when you study it." Tongyang pointed to the gloves on the table. How could she not know what Kyosayali was thinking? So she gave her a way out. Although the two of them often quarreled and bickered, their close relationship was there, and they would reconcile when they should. Humph. Kyosayali pouted and took the gloves and put them on. Then she picked up a crayfish with garlic paste and started to peel it like Tongyang. Because each crayfish had its back opened by Wen Jiu, it was very easy to peel it. In just a few strokes, a snow white and pink shrimp meat could be peeled out. She curiously sucked the juice on the shrimp meat. The hot soup exuded a strong and spicy garlic flavor. She had never tasted such a strange taste before. For a moment, she just stared with her eyes wide open, not knowing what to do. "What are you just sucking for? Eat the meat." It was not until Tongyang urged her to eat it quickly that she swallowed the shrimp meat. The spicy garlic paste and the sweetness of the shrimp meat complemented each other. Her taste buds were hit by the layers of complex flavors. The incomparable freshness and saltiness made it difficult for her brain to continue thinking. The only thought was to eat more crayfish quickly. "Hey, didn't you say you didn't want to eat it?" Tongyang regretted it. She saw that the shrimp shells next to Kyosayali were piling up more and more, almost forming a small mountain. There were only a few shrimp shells scattered on her side, and the other party was too fast. How can I study if I don't eat it? I'm going deep into the enemy's camp, Kaozayali said, while peeling the shrimp shells quickly. She liked the original taste of garlic crayfish more than eating it with dipping sauce. Put down my crayfish. You are not allowed to eat it. The friendship between the two children, who had just reconciled, broke down again because of the competition for crayfish. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thanks again to every little angel for their love, especially the little angels who followed, voted, and rewarded. Thank you 030. Chapter 324 Two Little Friends 3. Are you going back or not? Kyoshi had a headache sitting on the chair. She thought Kaozayali and Tongying would leave after dinner, but the two kids actually said they wanted to stay and apply for the waiter position. And judging from their quarrel just now, the two of them even quarreled over who was more suitable to be a waiter. This reminded her of the situation before the holiday, when Wen Jiu said he wanted to open a store and she quarreled with Zikingayu. She suddenly realized that it was not easy for Wen Jiu. Not only did he have to take on the heavy responsibility of being a chef, but he also had to tolerate her and Zikingayu's elementary school bickering. It was really not easy. I don't want to go back. I want to stay and be a waiter. Kaozayali crossed her arms and muttered, why can you be a waiter but I can't? And you are only 1 year older than me. Why do you educate me in the tone of my sister? If you don't go back, I will let Sister Wanwan pick you up. Kyoshi just wanted to send the two kids away quickly. Staying like this would only affect their closing time. I won't. It's no use for you to find Sister Wanwan. I want to see the boss. And what right do you have to control me? She's my cousin. Why can't she control you? You are so rude. Zikingayu, who had just finished cleaning, came over. The other party yelled at Kyoshi for a long time. He had long disliked this little girl. You are. Kaozayali stood up from her seat immediately when she heard someone dare to challenge her. But when she saw the other person's appearance clearly, she immediately swallowed the second half of her rebuttal. Isn't this the young master of the Z family? How could the other party be here and still speak for Kyoshi? Are the news her parents heard true? Did the young master of the Z family really fall in love with her beautiful cousin? Are the rumors that her cousin is going to get engaged true? Many thoughts flashed through Kaozayali's mind for a while, and she subconsciously said, you are not allowed to force my cousin to get engaged to you. After her voice fell, everyone was silent. Even when Jiu, who had just stepped out of the kitchen, fell silent. She had just finished tidying up the kitchen and the small warehouse, and wanted to help Kyoshi. How could such explosive news suddenly reach her ears? Zikingayu forced Kyoshi to get engaged to him? Why didn't she know about this? Is this a play between a spoiled young master and a runaway sweetheart? What nonsense are you talking about? Kyoshi decisively broke the silence. We are both only 13 years old this year, so far from the legal age. What nonsense are you talking about, engagement or not? And this is not a matter of age at all. He and I are just good friends. Can you listen to your parents and my parents' nonsense for one less day? She was speechless now. How could Kaozayali believe such an outrageous thing? That's it. Zikingayu lowered her head and tried to hide the fact that she blushed. He had never thought about that aspect. How could Kyoshi's cousin slander his innocence? I'm a member of the Z family. I will never force others. And my parents said that if I have a girl I like, I will pursue her openly. I'm not the bad guy who uses power to force girls. His words made Kyoshi glance at him inconspicuously, and when Jiu felt shocked. Then you have to swear. Those romantic novels are written like this. The powerful and domineering young master falls in love with the beautiful but ordinary heroine, and then robs her. Sorry to interrupt. When Jiu sighed and walked over from the kitchen, don't you think it's too early to talk about this topic? And what kind of romantic novel are you reading? What era is there still such a plot? She felt that she might be really old and couldn't understand these kids. It's just a new novel. I like to read this type. Kaozayali scratched her head a little embarrassedly. On the one hand, it was because she misunderstood Zikingayu, and on the other hand, she felt that she seemed to have caused a lot of trouble to her cousin. So she added, but I don't agree with this approach. I think what Brother Z said is right. If you like someone, you should. Stop it. Little girl, it's getting dark outside. Go home with your good friend and read novels. Wen Jiu really couldn't listen anymore. She felt that if she continued to talk, the matter would only get more and more complicated. Moreover, she had already seen Zikangayu's unnatural look, and she was afraid that if she continued to talk, the other party would dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. And Kaioshishi seemed very calm, but in fact, her hands were behind her back and kept stirring, which was enough to show that she was actually very flustered. Miss, are you the owner of this store? I want to apply for the position of waiter. Wen Jiu directly stuffed a piece of snowflake crisp leftovers into Kaio's Iali and Tongaying, and then dragged the two of them out of Wen's restaurant, and locked the door, before they could react. Let's go upstairs and talk. She grabbed her child with one hand, and took Zikangayu and Kaioshishi directly to the second floor. My cousin Shi. Your cousin Shi. The two people sitting on the sofa spoke at the same time, then shut their mouths, and turned their heads away. Seeing this, Wen Jiu gave each of them a pat on the head. Okay, stop being awkward, let Shishi speak first this time. Kaioshishi sighed first, and then told Zikangayu about the conflict between herself and her family. She didn't want to say it at first, because she would feel uncomfortable if she said too much, so except for her cousin and Yuruman who already knew about it, only Wen Jiu knew about it. I'm sorry, I don't know about your family. Zikangayu's voice became smaller and smaller, and in the end Kaioshishi could hardly hear what he was saying. But because of Wen Jiu's high mental strength, he heard the other party saying that he shouldn't always ask Kaioshishi when she would be home. So she said, don't blame yourself, it's so good for Shishi to live in my house now. Not only does she have delicious meals every day, but she can also live freely without worrying about being lectured by her parents. And her parents are so feudal and ignorant, she won't be happy staying at home. Kaioshishi also spoke to ease the atmosphere. Yes, I can eat Jiu's loving breakfast every day unlike you. You can't eat it tomorrow, if you eat it today. She was a little self-blaming at first, because she felt that it was her fault for not stopping her parents from thinking too much, so they made random guesses, causing even her cousin to have such outrageous ideas. I'll ask my brother to transfer money to Jiuji and ask him to transfer 100,000 star coins to buy breakfast for a week. Zikangayu felt wronged when he thought that he had no breakfast to eat, and the messy thoughts in his mind also dissipated at this moment. He now only wanted to get breakfast. Let's not talk about your brother first. Shishi, remember to ask your cousin to transfer the remaining meal money to you. When Jiu looked at Kaioshishi, she would not let her good friend suffer in vain. Tell her that I, Wen Jiu, will collect 200% of her meal money today. If she doesn't give it, I will go to her house to find her. Kaioshishi was immediately happy after hearing this. The three of them chatted for a while before closing the store and leaving. The third update of the day has also been delivered. The little author feels that he is about to be drained of the manuscripts he has saved recently. ORZ. I hope that all the little angels can vote for the little author to get some money back. CAC. Chapter 325. The Return of the Fortune Sister 1. After returning home and cleaning up, Wen Jiu held Ziohei in her arms, trying to touch his fur to increase her pleasure index. She has too many things to do recently, such as resuming live broadcasting to prevent her popularity from declining, preparing for the Spring Festival reunion dinner, and continuing to set up a stall in the Star Network world. And she also has to find a way to train hard and strive to upgrade her superpowers as soon as possible so that she can recover her spiritual power. In short, all these things added up made her a little tired for a while. Ziohei, do you have any troubles? Being a cat must be trouble-free. Every day I just eat dried fish, sleep, and bask in the sun. How come I didn't become a cat? As soon as she finished speaking, Ziohei suddenly tensed up in her arms. Ziohei, you. She wanted to ask Ziohei what was wrong, but Kaioshishi ran out of the room. Jiu, my cousin agreed to come and celebrate the Spring Festival with us. When Jiu considered that there were only her and Kaioshishi at home, and if Yuruman and Zhu Wangming were invited, there would only be 4 people, so she simply asked Kaioshishi to ask her cousin if she wanted to come to the reunion dinner. She was quite curious about Kyoshishi's cousin. For example, how could such an outstanding cousin have a spoiled sister, and how she was promoted to the 5th level supernatural power. Even if there is no secret to promotion, you can learn some experience. Okay, then I will prepare a reunion dinner for 5 people. Wen Jiu sat on the sofa and thought, she also had to make some candies and snacks. On the one hand, she wanted to let Zeke and Gayu take them home, and on the other hand, she wanted to use these candies and snacks as souvenirs, and give one to each of the people who came to the reunion dinner. Then I will be responsible for decorating the house. Kyoshishi thought that she had to do something, so she opened the light curtain panel and wanted to go shopping in the Star Network supermarket. As the spring festival approaches, the shelves in the Star Network supermarket are empty in a short time, but fortunately, the items on display are virtual, and the fixed quantity will be automatically replenished in a few seconds after the customer adds them. Do you write the couplets at home, or do I buy them in the supermarket? Kyoshishi dragged the light screen panel in front of Wen Jiu, and the two of them nestled on the sofa to browse the spring festival decorations. Although Wen Jiu planned to write the couplets herself, it did not prevent her from seeing what the couplets in the Interstellar era looked like. It must be said that sometimes she really doubted the aesthetics of the people here. The paper with a bright red background was printed with a fancy fluorescent pink pattern, and the fonts printed on it seemed to be written in a frame, and each word was square like a square. The most important thing was that the color of the words was fluorescent green. Wen Jiu felt that his eyes were about to be blinded just by looking at the display effect picture. This is not a couplet, it is clearly a night light attached to the outside of the door frame. Which one do you think is better, the square font or the round font? Kyoshishi asked this question seriously because she had never seen Wen Jiu write. When she accompanied him to set up a stall at Star Network, she only saw him drawing talismans. But she felt that painting and writing were different. The couplets sold in the supermarket were all printed with the works of calligraphy masters. These two were written by calligraphy masters from the Federation, and they are almost sold out. Hearing this, Wen Jiu felt that he seemed to have found a new way to get rich. But she really didn't have the spare energy to sell calligraphy works, so she said, I think I should write the couplets myself. You can choose some normal red paper without patterns, and buy a good piece of ink. The ink here is also different from the previous ink. The previous ink was carbon in an amorphous form, which could be ground into ink for writing with a brush, by grinding it with water in an inkstone. But the ink here is a special crystal stone, which needs to be supplemented with another specially formulated liquid to be ground into ink for use. Okay, then I'll go to the stationery area. Kyoshishi slid the light screen panel to control the little man to go shopping in the supermarket. Xinguang supermarket has several modes for everyone to choose from. Wen Jiu likes to directly select the area and then add items to the shopping cart from the list, similar to using a certain orange software in modern times. But Kyoshishi prefers to use a virtual little man to go shopping in the supermarket, controlling the little man to push the cart around in the supermarket, just like walking around in it herself. Wait, I see that the fruit and vegetable area over there seems to be a discount. Wen Jiu glanced and saw the sign standing in the fruit and vegetable area, which seemed to be a discount event for some ingredients. After hearing her words, Kyoshishi controlled the little man to push the cart to the fruit and vegetable area. The sign said that Hawthorn and Strawberry were doing a buy 3 get 1 free event, and Wen Jiu decisively asked the other party to buy 3 pounds of Hawthorn and Strawberry each. It happened that she was thinking about what dessert to make, and the ingredients for this candied haws were delivered to her door. I feel like I've bought almost everything. I've picked a lot of ingredients and decorations. Wen Jiu watched Kyoshishi pay the bill. She originally said that she would transfer the star coins to her, but Kyoshishi refused to take the star coins. I don't even pay rent for living in your house. You have to let me make some contribution. Don't transfer money to me. It's getting late. Jiu, go to bed early. After saying that, she ran back to the bedroom without giving Wen Jiu a chance to speak. Seeing this, Wen Jiu picked up Ziohei again. She planned to put him in the cat bed and go back to her room to rest. But Ziohei, who had been very well behaved these days, was inexplicably irritable today. As soon as Wen Jiu picked him up, he began to wave his claws and kept growling to intimidate her. Are you any stress? Is it spring that is coming and everything is coming back to life? It is also the time for animals to mate. Before she finished her words, Ziohei struggled to jump down and then quickly ran into the cat bed with only his tail sticking out, but he quickly put his tail back in and the whole cat was like a black ball curled up there. Wen Jiu always felt that this was a bit strange, so she sent a message to the veterinarian after returning to the bedroom. In addition to Ziohei's abnormal behavior, she also wanted to ask why there were more and more red hairs on Ziohei's head. At first, there were a few tufts of red hair, and then it became red bangs, and now it has directly become a red head. She felt that, if it continued like this, Ziohei would turn into Ziohang. However, the veterinarian only said that the reason for the sudden irritability might be that the estrus period was approaching, and as for why the hair changed color, the reason could not be found, so she asked her to take Ziohei to the hospital for a checkup when she had time in the next 2 days. So when Jiu could only think about when she could spare some time. She was really busy with many things recently. Before she could think for long, Lulu sent another message to ask her when she would resume broadcasting. Today's first update is perfectly delivered. The author will release a New Year event in the book Friend Circle in the next 2 days. If you want to participate, remember to read the rules of the event 030. PS 1. Reference Baidu Encyclopedia Mo. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.